This is Brannon Howse Live. Whether the issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security, Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast on this October 28th, 2025. Folks, we have a packed broadcast for you tonight. Trevor Loudon, Leo Hohmann, Anni Cyrus, Nick Holscher. We'll also get a quick update on some health issues related to Dr. Lana and talking about the spike in Alzheimer's and dementia. And we're going to talk real quickly with Dr. Lucky as well. Now, we are going to cover some of these topics right here tonight. Look at this one. Hospitals have quietly reclassified vaccines as biogenics. So that when you look at the form, like, I don't want any vaccines, or you don't see the word vaccines apparently. So now they're putting it as biogenics. So you sign off on it and boom, you wake up, you've just had the COVID clot shot. We'll get into that. 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps. What? So what do you think is going to happen if they don't come to an agreement and open the government back up and get the SNAP food stamps program going? What do you think is going to happen come November 1st, Saturday, and the week into the next week? Is this a setup? Are the Democrats deliberately keeping it shut down so they can have this pressure from above, pressure from below, the politicians, community organizers at the top, their street groups at the bottom, the communist tactic, pressure from above, pressure from below? Are they going to try to gaslight President Trump with maybe some riots, some looting, and see what he'll do? And then they can get all this on camera and use it for the 2026 midterms? I have no idea. I'm just asking questions, but I wouldn't put anything past these Marxist Democrats to continually divide the country. We'll get into that with Trevor Loudon. We also have Mamdani saying, we have to make it clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. Apparently, any problem you might have goes back to the fault of the Jews. And then we have Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes. And I guess they both despise Christian Zionists. We'll talk to Trevor Loudon about this. And all the divisions that are being created within the Christian community, evangelicalism, MAGA. Who's behind this nonstop dividing of us? Because a house divided against itself cannot stand. Why is it that people like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, and can I even say guys like that, disgusting in my opinion, just absolutely disgusting individuals like so-called Pastor Doug Wilson? What a disgusting individual. And what he has to say about women that I've read. I wouldn't let my family go to anything related to him. And if your family is going to a church tied to Doug Wilson, run, because I think it's a theological cult. It's the Christian Taliban, in my opinion. But why are people following either these political and or religious groups? Well, it is, I think, a reaction to cultural Marxism and feminism, gutting out the American male and attacking masculinity in a patriarchal society and attacking traditional values. And there's been this knee-jerk reaction to the extremes that include people on the left, people on the right, but certainly this new right, or maybe we should call it the new Reich. What else do we have? The body of Hamas returned from Gaza last night is not one of the 13 deceased hostages it committed to return. According to officials, it's the remains that belong to an Israeli who was kidnapped to Gaza, already buried in Israel. And so Israel is attacking back into Gaza. Got an update today from our reporter on the ground for an hour. You can watch that at worldviewtube.com. But we'll touch on that tonight as well. We'll talk about Mamdani's father, who sits on an advisory council for an anti-Israel group. He's about to win. And are they lining him up for something more? And then we're going to talk to Anni Cyrus about a new article she has out. I don't know if I have it up here yet. I thought I did. Yeah, there it is. A new article she's got up here. She's talking about many things, including all the Islamists that are running for various political offices. I can't remember the name of it, but we'll find it tonight when we talk to her. Let's see, what else we got here? Netanyahu, here we go. He says Netanyahu overrides Trump and says the U.S. can't stop Israel from annexing the West Bank. Quote, it doesn't matter. We're an independent country. Oh, well, good for him. I mean, these are just some of the things we're going to get to tonight if time allows. There's so much to get to. Oh, yes, the police. The police now apparently are being run and controlled by Antifa in some of the deep blue cities. Oh, you guys know I've warned for years, be careful about giving honor to people just because they wear a uniform. Because when they take over the police and the military, what are you going to do? And if they take over the police and military, what are you going to do? Well, apparently that is now underway in deep blue cities like Portland. We'll show you the video footage as reporters are indeed reporting that the police are doing the bidding of Antifa. And then a big study tonight, landmark report finds vaccination is the dominant risk factor for autism spectrum disorder. Huge study tonight by the McCullough Foundation, Nick Holscher, to discuss it. And how about this with Leo Hohmann? I asked Leo to watch a video about the ballroom. Is the ballroom really $300 million? Or is that just a cover? Is what's really going on the building of a massive data center under the White House, the most protected place in D.C., to protect the brain of the U.S. government that will be AI data centers, and this data center that could be used and need to be tied to the Situation Room for the commander-in-chief to run a war. The next war, will it be fought largely by AI? Well, you would need that in close proximity to the president and protected at all cost. Where else could it be the safest other than under the ground at the White House? We'll get a little response from Leo Hohmann about that. Wow, what a broadcast we have tonight. Tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social. Tell all your family and friends we are here. And don't forget, and how could you, because I never let you forget, how we are brought to you each and every night. And that is by you. So will you please go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Check out all of our amazing sponsors. You know I take Gatatana every day. Do we have a lower third for that? Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. You know I take Gatatana, one scoop, 90 billion plant cells. You know we have the Worldview Healthcare. That's your antibiotics that you want to have on hand so you don't run out, because we get so many of them from China. You want to have your water filter to filter out all the poisons. You want your swishforlife.com. That's your Gatatana, that's your Numi filled with glutathione to detox your cells. We have a big announcement tonight about this. It's about to become 3 times stronger come November 1st. Your shipment, if you're on a subscription, you're going to get 3 times now the amount of glutathione, which has over 165,000 studies at PubMed, and it talks about greatly reducing Alzheimer's and dementia. I'll show you some studies tonight that show that a lot of people that have Alzheimer's or dementia and Parkinson's, they're suffering from low glutathione. Hey, we've seen a correlation apparently between people with autism and low glutathione. It makes sense that people that start having neurological and memory problems might be low in glutathione too. I'll show you those studies. But good news, we're about to get 3 times the amount of glutathione in our Swish with Numi. So I use all these, including the Bella Grace and all of these other great products. So again, check it out, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Big announcement. I need you to go right now to the phone, and I need you to call our voicemail and leave a voicemail of what our broadcasts mean to you. What do you appreciate about Worldview Tube? What do you appreciate about Worldview Radio, my show at 1 o'clock, or the Worldview Report newscast, or Brannon Howse Live, or my Sunday night Bible study, or any of the other broadcasts? Would you like to call and leave the voicemail? Because we would love to start playing these back as quickly as tomorrow, so folks can see how we're having impact now, but also an impact into eternity, how we're impacting lives, maybe how we've influenced your life or that of your spouse or your children or grandchildren. Maybe you heard the gospel here and became a Christian listening to some of our programming. We've had so many people over the years write us and tell us I came to the Lord by watching your programming, reading your books. We would love to share that kind of information with many of our viewers to be encouraged by what it is we're doing together, because it takes all of us to do it. We're a listener-supported network. So I want our donors, I want those of you that buy the products that then turn around and support us because they support us with each purchase. I want any of you that are either giving to us through our foundation, taking Bella Grace, Numi, Gatatana, ordering the water purifier, any of those. I want you to know what it is you're supporting. I want you to know what it is you can support. I want you to hear the results, right, of what it is this network does and how it has eternal value, because the grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of God will stand forever. And I want you to hear what we are accomplishing together. So will you please be willing to call right now and leave a voicemail so we can start playing this on the air as we particularly lead up to our international Worldview Weekend. We're going to be doing an International Worldview Weekend on Thursday and Friday, December 4 and 5. We have booked a huge group of people, nationally known, internationally known guests for that 2 days. And throughout between now and then, and on those 2 days, we want to also play some of these as we come to our end of the year giving. So please call right now and leave a voicemail on what this network means to you, what the programs mean to you, some of your favorite programs. 901-468-9357, 901-468-9357. And mark your calendar now. Now also, before we get started here, folks, I have a brand new book coming out. A brand new book coming out it should be Friday, and you don't need to buy it. If you're a Vault member, it'll automatically be in the Vault. Here it is. I started working on this back in 2019. You remember I did 11 hours on Hamas? Here it is. October 7th comes to America, subtitled Inside the U.S. Network of Hamas. Comes out as a PDF book on Friday. You don't have to buy it, folks. Now, I think we are going to sell it for $7.99, but you don't have to buy it if you're a Vault member. By the way, I also have my book on Siege, my documentary Siege. That book's coming out. Sabotage, that's coming out. My book on Brainwashed America, that book's coming out. You do not have to buy any of these books if you're a member of the Vault. You automatically receive these in your Vault membership. WorldViewTube.com/Vault, WorldViewTube.com/Vault. These are all great ways to support us and keep this broadcast going. So please go right now and join WorldViewTube.com/Vault. Tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, Truth Social. Get everybody here, because I guarantee you we're talking about things they need to know. Let's get started. All right, guys, what do you think about maybe the ballroom, $300 million ballroom, is really a cover for something else? I mean, that is a pretty expensive ballroom, $300 million, right? But maybe the ballroom is really a distraction. Didn't President Trump say, maybe you can find that video, Logan. President Trump said the military, he's sitting in the Oval Office and he's showing color photographs of the ballroom. And he says the military is going to be involved in the ballroom. The military is going to be involved. Now, the Corps of Engineers might get involved in projects like building bridges and dams, but why would the Corps of Engineers, the military, the Corps of Engineers, Army, why would they get involved in building a ballroom? I don't know. If the military gets involved, I'm thinking it's more than just a ballroom. Who was involved in warp speed? That was the military. Who's got a relationship with Palantir? That would be the military. Is it possible that what's really going on here is not just the building of a ballroom? That's the cover. What's going on is the building of a gigantic data center under the White House that is going to be used largely to run the government as they turn more and more and more over to AI, the data centers. I mean, if you want to put one of those in DC and have it to be the most secure and safe location, I think that would be underneath the White House. If you are going to run wars using Palantir or other programs like that, wasn't it Palantir that reportedly helped track down Osama bin Laden? If you're going to use groups like Palantir to conduct wars and targeting and strategy, well, wouldn't you want that near the president and near the Situation Room? Well, there was a video that Logan showed me, and I thought, yeah, I think that lady's onto something. You got to watch it. I'm going to get Leo Hohmann to respond to it. Watch this.
Yeah, so Trump is not building a ballroom. And I feel like I've known this in my soul, but now I feel like I have irrefutable proof, thanks to Andrew Kerr, an architect who posted on Facebook a few days ago and blew this case wide open. And he, by the way, has over 20 years of experience working on federal projects, and he walked through in his Facebook post step by step why this does not make any sense, this ballroom. I mean, for one, he just kind of did the math. $300 million at 90,000 square feet would be about $3,333 per square foot. He said that even luxury federal construction doesn't usually approach $1,000 per square foot. He also mentioned the geometry of these renderings being nearly impossible because the renderings are showing a building that would need a 380 by 235 foot footprint, but the interior views show maybe 200 by 100 feet, and that's only 20,000 square feet, so that can't exist in the same building. Not to mention that the construction drawings, he said, look like they were thrown together in about a week, and I think that that's pretty generous considering I think that they were probably thrown together by Grok within, I don't know, a couple of minutes, probably by Big or whoever's still wandering around the White House from Doge. So the million-dollar question then becomes, well then what is he building? And the answer, I think, is that he's building an underground data center. Hear me out. Think about where they're building, because it's not random, it's the East Wing, and that's where the PEOC bunker is. And just think about the significance of that, because that is where the tunnel systems are that connect the White House to the Treasury to the other federal buildings. It's where all of the secure communications infrastructure lives. I mean, that's prime real estate, just underground. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of the Oracle data centers that Larry Ellison built underground in Jerusalem. You know, the ones that were 9 stories deep, 160 feet below the ground, 460,000 square feet. And guess how much those cost? $319 million per bunker. Yeah, and the White House is already at $300 million for this ballroom, and it's only climbing. Fiscally, it feels like a more apt comparison, I feel like. Even outside of the architecture anomalies, the fact that this is privately funded should have been our first red flag. I mean, this is Donald Trump we're talking about, baby. I mean, the man who has absolutely no problem spending taxpayer money on stuff that just benefits him. This is the same guy who spent over $3.9 billion in taxpayer money just to make over Air Force One. Didn't he also make Secret Service pay to stay at Mar-a-Lago? Like he charged the room bill to them? Just ridiculous. So when he suddenly won't spend government money on this means this isn't actually serving him. This means that this is serving someone else specifically. Look at the donor list. You've got defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Booz Allen Hamilton, and you've got tech giants like Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Palantir. You've got crypto companies like Coinbase, Ripple, and Tether, and then telecoms like T-Mobile and Comcast. These aren't people who are funding a party space. These are companies who have very specific interests in government infrastructure, government data, and government operations. Don't get it twisted. They are funding infrastructure that very directly serves them. Also, think about Larry Ellison's vision, the one that he spoke about in the keynote the other day that I made a video on, the part where he said that he wants to automate the government. I mean, a lot of these tech bros have been talking about automating the government. And if you want to automate federal operations or create a single digital platform for the government, then that means you need a supremely secure physical home for that system. And by placing it directly under the White House, you eliminate latency problems and you ensure that the President of the United States has direct physical control over the system's core. Because remember, it's about centralizing control and securing the brain of the government. I know it sounds very dystopian, and in many ways it's because it is. But these are very real things that are happening around the world. And the companies that are funding this, well, they're buying access. They want their systems integrated to how the government operates. And that's what $300 million will get you, I guess.
Now, aside from her obvious, I think she's not a big fan of President Trump. So don't let that stop you from listening to what she's saying. That's a mistake a lot of self-described conservatives make. Oh, well, that's just a Trump hater. Well, okay. Acknowledge that maybe she's not a fan of President Trump, but is what she's saying wrong? Because you see, that's what a lot of people do. They discount some people that have some good information because, oh, well, they don't like my favorite politician or someone I like. Okay. Deal with that as an adult and say, okay, I understand her position, but is what she is saying true or false? Now, here's President Trump himself in the Oval Office showing the pictures and then talking about how the military is going to be involved. Watch this.
These along so people could see, but it's, there's a relative, nobody's actually seen anything quite like it. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor a foreign leader. We have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people. And this is a proper kind of a thing. Now, what the White House was doing, as you know, is they were putting tents out on the lawn. This is an interior shot of the ballroom. I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors to it. The government's paying absolutely nothing. We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect, and the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful. You can see the kind of...
So why is the military going to be involved? Joining me now is Leo Hohmann. Leo, what do you make of this?
So many red flags there, Brannon. Wow. Where do I start? I mean, it's always a red flag for starters whenever you're funding a government operation with private funds. Why do I say that? Because along with private funding usually comes a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency. What are the motives of the private funder? We just heard from President Trump a few days ago that one of his buddies wrote a $130 million check to fund the military shortfalls that are being experienced during the shutdown. It turned out that was Mr. Timothy Mellon, a big-time banker who's involved in trafficking of human bodies. Controversies about that have arisen in the past. Well, what does he want for his $130 million? Who knows? We'll never know. Same with this. He says he's being funded, this ballroom, to the tune of $300 million by himself and some of his friends. Who are these friends? What are they expecting in return for their money? What exactly is the full purpose? And it, not to mention, Brannon, it's absolutely tone deaf. Even if it's all on the up and up, let's say for the sake of argument, the donors are 100% honest. They're not looking for anything in return for their money. But I still think it's tone deaf for a president of the United States to be talking about a $300 million ballroom for foreign leaders at a time when, to honor foreign leaders at a time when senior citizens are increasingly living out of their pickup trucks and automobiles because they can't afford next month's rent. I mean, what kind of timing is going on here? It's almost otherworldly to listen to that. It was like I was hearing as he's talking about honoring foreign leaders. Are you not in touch with today's economy? Thousands of people just lost their jobs today, got pink slips at Amazon. Hundreds more yesterday from General Motors. I mean, this is not the time to be talking about honoring foreign dignitaries.
And that's all covered. And I think that's the point. Yes. It's being done. Right. It doesn't make sense politically. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. It's tone deaf. It's not in tune. And President Trump has been in tune with his base. I mean, that's how he got elected the first time and the second. He knew what his base was about. Other than praising the COVID shot, which he then backed away from at one point, but he knew about Agenda 21. I mean, I was like, the day he mentioned Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, I was like, he knows about Agenda 2030? And that was when he was running the first time, I think, for office. He knew what the issues were that his potential voters were interested in. He knew what they liked, he knew what they didn't like, and he knew how to speak their language, right? He wasn't tone deaf at all to them. I don't think he's tone deaf to this. I think there's a bigger agenda, and he's willing to endure the blowback to accomplish the greater objective, which is he must feel this massive data center, if that's indeed what's being built under the White House, is necessary for national security and particularly fighting the next war, right?
That would certainly explain the level of tone deaf on this project. Yeah, because why else would he be doing that unless there was some secret reason that he's not able to talk about regarding this ballroom? And so he's making it sound like it's simply a ballroom, a very expensive ballroom for foreign dignitaries, when in fact, perhaps there's some underlying motive that he can't talk about.
So do you think the AI systems will be used to fight the future wars?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the current wars are being fought with AI systems. The wars in Gaza, the war in Ukraine, are being fought by the Ukrainians and the Israelis with data being gathered, analyzed, and provided by Palantir. So, the next war that the United States is directly involved with, I think we could assume would be fought on the same basis with Palantir.
And do we really think that Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Meta that are helping to build this ballroom, according to the New York Post here? I mean, New York Post is saying the corporations and donors footing the bill for Trump's new White House ballroom. Why would they be putting up this kind of money? And there's the list. There's the full list right there. Why would they be putting up this kind of money? Some of them might, right? But why would those big tech companies be doing it? I mean, a lot of them are not friends of the Trump administration politically, socially.
Well, a lot of them are trying to pretend like they are.
Right. Why? Because they want contracts for all these AI data centers and AI system that's being built, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So they're just paying for helping to implement the system that they're going to be making potentially long-term contracts on anyway. So you contribute $10 million, but if you get a $50 million contract from the federal government or a $100 million contract, who cares if you give $10 million of it back to the ballroom? You see what I'm saying?
100%. And let's face it, corporations are at their core, they're not really political animals. I don't think they care whether there's a Democrat administration or a Republican administration. What they're looking for is access, and what they're looking for is ways to pad their bottom line and get access to those big government contracts. That would make perfect sense, Brandon.
And you're also tracking Bank of America. What is Bank of America saying about utility bills?
Yeah, they came out with a big study today, Bank of America, showing that data centers, there's 4,000 of them already up and running across the United States, believe it or not. That's the best estimate we can come up with. There's no official count, but more than 4,000 of them are estimated to be up and running, and they are already driving up people's residential electric power rates and are considered projected to continue doing so in the years ahead. We're barely just getting started with the number of data centers that are going to be required to power the new souped up AI that will be able to run digital currencies, digital IDs, and scan the internet in real time 24/7 for all 150 million Americans to be able to track and keep track of everything every American is doing 24/7. This is the plan for artificial intelligence. So in order to get a system like that, they need far more than 4,000 data centers, and they need a far more amount of electric power capacity to be added to the system. The problem is they can't build it fast enough, and so they're going to have to raise the rates on the existing users. That's me and you, Brandon, and it's already happened.
Yeah. All right, real quick, let's flip to this story. Look at this footage right here, Leo. Here is Putin. We reported on it tonight. We reported it on the Worldview Report tonight. Leo is our executive producer of that. Here he is in his military fatigues. What is Putin overseeing here, Leo, for those who didn't catch the Worldview Report tonight?
He is overseeing a test launch of a new deadly weapon called the Boreshnik. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but it is a nuclear-powered cruise missile that has really unlimited range. It can circle the entire globe and then zero in on a target completely 100% around the world from where it's being launched. It's a low flying, it's a cruise missile, so it's going to fly under the radar of most of all ground-based early warning detection systems that the United States has, mostly in Canada and northern United States. It will evade all of that and be able to hit targets with pinpoint accuracy. So this is a weapon that there's really no defense against in all of NATO, and specifically is designed to hit targets a long way away from Russia. So I think Putin is sending a message to President Trump that he has a weapon here that he doesn't want to use, but if his back is pushed far enough against the wall, he may have to resort to.
And President Trump's response was, well, we've got a sub parked off your coast.
Right, right, right.
So I don't know.
And
This doesn't help me sleep very well. And by the way, did you see the new movie? What is called House of Dynamite? Right? Have you seen it?
I have not.
Let me see if I can find the trailer. Oh, it is one of the best. Do you see the trailer, Logan? It's one of the best movies that I have watched in a long time as far as keeping my attention. I mean, it's on Netflix. It's like 90 minutes. And it was, that book you and I talked about where the lady wrote the book on what it would be like to go through a nuclear war, nuclear system? Okay. It looked like it could have come off that book. And it dealt with many of the things we dealt with in an interview with Colonel Rob Manus, who was a part of that world in the Pentagon. I mean, when they were talking about things like, I know what that is, I know what that is, I know what that is because of the books I've read, because of my interviews with Colonel Rob Manus. I mean, it was very, very articulate. And of course, I guess the military is a little upset because they were showing that the nuclear weapon could not be stopped by the system that they were using to hit it, like a bullet hitting a bullet. And the failure rate was like 60%. And I don't think that's far off the mark from our study that we did in the books we've read. And I guess our current military wasn't happy that Netflix's film is going so far and wide. And the taxpayers are now aware that we're not the biggest, baddest military on the planet with the ability to stop things like we're being told. And we're being told by President Trump we got the biggest and best submarines. I'm not sure that's true either. Before I play the trailer, you want to comment?
Well, President Trump was at it again today I believe it was in Japan, where he was talking about U.S. military weapon systems are so far above and beyond the next closest rival in the world that it's not even close. We have the best weapons, by far, overwhelmingly superior to anything that any other country can put up.
I wish that were true. I wish it were. So I'm not trying to be anti-American or anti-Trump here. I'm not. I wish it were true. And I guess he has to say that because he's the president. He has to say that.
All presidents say similar things.
They all do. But you notice that Trump wasn't talking that way when he was running for president the first time. He was talking about how depleted our military was, how in much trouble we were, right? But now he has to. But you and I know that Peter Pry and many others were warning us China and Russia were on the 5th and 6th generation warfare, and we did not have the equal to refute what they were putting in the field. We know that to be true.
Exactly. So I think you're right. You were getting ready to say something to the effect that the American people are going to be very surprised during the next war. Let's say it's with China over Taiwan, and the United States runs out of munitions within 2 weeks.
Yep.
I just think President Trump is a very good salesman, probably better than any other president in my lifetime. But sometimes there's a problem with being too good of a salesman and sending the wrong message.
Yep.
I mean, people are going to be overconfident and they're going to be all geared up and juiced up for a war that they think we're going to win in 10 minutes, when in actuality, it's another quagmire that we get dragged into, whether it be Ukraine or over Taiwan or whatever.
Here's that trailer.
I always thought just being ready is the point. It keeps the bill in check. Keeps the world straight. They see how prepared we are. No, it starts a nuclear war.
Approximately 3 minutes ago, we detected an ICBM over the Pacific. Current flight trajectory is consistent with impact somewhere in the continental United States.
Have we seen DEFCON 2 before? No.
Is this real?
STRATCOM is asking for launch instructions right now. I'm gonna need you to breathe.
We are talking about hitting a bullet with a bullet.
So it's a coin toss? That's what $50 billion buys us?
Get in the car and just start driving.
If we do not take steps to neutralize our enemies now, we will lose our window to do so.
If we get this wrong, none of us are going to be alive tomorrow.
There is no plan B.
We did everything right? We did everything right.
None of this makes sense. Making all these bombs and all these plans. The walls are just ready to blow.
All right. There is some cussing in it, but it's on edge of your seat, and it seems pretty accurate from all the books I've read and the interviews we've done, including with a man who helped write the Black Book that's in the film with the nuclear codes, Colonel Rob Manus. Closing comment, Leo.
It's very chilling scenario, Brannon. Knowing that that's the case, I do not understand why our government would want to even entertain such a scenario. And I think that we're getting dangerously close in our relations with Mr. Putin over a country, Ukraine, that has absolutely no bearing on our critical national vital interests.
100%. LeoHohmann.substack.com. LeoHohmann.substack.com. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Brannon.
So much breaking news tonight, folks. And again, I hope you're appreciating the fact that we go long sometimes and we just keep cranking it out to you each and every night. We need your support. WorldviewFoundation.com, WorldviewFoundation.com, and our sponsors that support us when you purchase their products, WorldviewTube.com/sponsors, WorldviewTube.com/sponsors. We'll be right back after this very short break. Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. I want to thank you for all your support at WVWFoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at WVWFoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at WVWFoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. Joining me now is Dr. Lucky. We want to give an update here on the great results many people are receiving from this new product, which is the Bella Melt, which is selling like crazy with the GLP-1. Wanted to get an update from him. Dr. Lucky, welcome back. So how are things going there at Bella Grace? I hear the sales are off the charts.
Yes, sir. Really, our Bella Melt has changed everything in the weight loss industry. It has been absolutely fantastic.
So remind our audience what it is. What is GLP-1? Melissa, everybody realizes was only taking one. She could have been taking 2 or 3 a week. But in the first week, she was taking 1 a day, and she lost 3 pounds in the first weeks. But tell everybody what GLP-1 is and how it works.
Yeah, so GLP-1 hormone lives inside your body, and it lets your body know when you're full. Unfortunately, because of our poor American diets, the low quality water we drink, the things they spray on our food and in the air, has caused that GLP-1 or natural GLP-1 to be turned off, which makes, and of course with artificial sweeteners and all the other things they put on our foods, that's caused our GLP-1 to be turned off so that we overeat and that GLP-1's not working properly in our body. So this is why a lot of people have gone to try, the medications. So we decided, because 63% of everyone out there wants a natural solution, we decided to make something called the Bella Melt.
And can you tell me a little bit more about GLP-1? I mean, I know it's naturally occurring in our body, but tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's a hormone that lives in your gastrointestinal system. Again, it reminds your body that you're full so you don't overeat. It slows down the food that goes from your stomach into your gastrointestinal system. And it's designed to really help you not gain lots of weight. And when you're eating good amounts of protein and lots of fiber and natural foods, that your gut biome is working properly, that GLP hormone is rhythmically working with you and your body's natural processes.
All right. So are there any side effects?
Well, with our Bellamelt Caramel, there's no side effects. When you take a look at using one of the prescription medications, you'll get the, stomach flare-ups, the nauseousness, the diarrhea, the uncontrollable urge to go to the bathroom, long-term side effects if you're using too many milligrams. Wow, those get to be fairly dangerous as well. Reports of blindness, reports of pancreatitis. Yes, sir. Ozempic, the O word is being sued right now. I believe they have a lawsuit for about $2 billion because they haven't been forefront with the information to the consumer.
Well, I mean, we saw that coming, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is not the microdosing. This is people that get on these products, stay on them too long with too many milligrams each week.
All right, so Bellamelts, you can get them at melissahousebg.com. All right, let's go back to my favorite, which is the elixir that I've been taking since December of 2023 with incredible results, lost weight on it. My hands don't crack and bleed. I haven't had a Pepsid for my acid reflux since December 2023. My hair growth is been amazing. The thinning spot up top is all but completely covered now. Melissa says it's complete. I can't see up there. Melissa says it's completely covered. And I have a relative of mine who's in their 80s who got on the Bella
Grace Elixir?
Yeah, the Great Bella. Yep, absolutely. And guess what? They got hair growth that they didn't have coming in their 80s. So this Bella Grace Elixir has been remarkable for me. Now, we know from our viewers, many of them have seen amazing results. Some, it sounded like too good to be true at first, but then all of a sudden we just kept getting these same testimonials. People that were scheduled to have surgery because they couldn't bend their finger after a couple of weeks on it. They can bend their finger. They canceled their surgery. We've gotten several people that were going to have surgery. They canceled the surgery after this. People that were talking about they couldn't drive at night because they couldn't see well. And after a few weeks on this, they got improved sight and can drive again at night. Now, I was not believing all of this with the first couple. I just thought, yeah, that's coincidental. But Melissa handles the customer support, and we were not only getting it from her, but people are emailing in their stories. And so this became very, very common. I was shocked. Now it's like, yeah, we're used to that now after 2 years. We're used to that. I mean, but you can validate these same kind of stories, right?
Absolutely. Our Bella Grace Elixir has the synergistic qualities of 3 major ingredients. The Verisol B collagen, which is why your skin, hair, and nails are looking so great, by the way.
Which, by the way, I have to cut my fingernails more often than I ever have in my life.
I will say that I do too, as well as most of my patients do. Our Astareal astaxanthin has 70 human clinical trials behind it. This product, this ingredient in our Bella Grace Elixir is a major anti-inflammatory. It's been called the king of antioxidants. It's 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, 800 times stronger than CoQ10, 350 times stronger than green tea extract. It surrounds and protects every aspect of your cells in your body. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, crosses the blood-retinal barrier. Lots of studies out there show it removes the spike protein from the brain, microplastics from the body. It is absolutely fantastic. UVA and UVB protection. And then, of course, the catch claw. Let's not forget the catch claw. This ingredient in our elixir was used by the ancient Mayans and Aztec culture for thousands of years. They called it the life-giving vine of Peru. And what we now know about that ingredient is that it turns off your chronic inflammatory marker. And Brandon, you and I have talked about this many times. Inflammation is the root cause of all disease. And when you can turn off and you can eliminate that chronic inflammation in the body, your body is going to be able to work at 100%. And that's what we've been able to do. So you're right. All those letters that you're getting in to your organization, we're seeing the same things happen in my practice.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we say you're not only supporting your health, which we believe is the case, but they're also supporting our organization because you guys, with each purchase, give a little contribution back to our network. So I want to encourage people to check it out, melissahousebg.com. Of course, you not only have the elixir that I take every day, you have the Bella Melt, which Melissa loves, but you also have the skincare. Melissa loves the skincare, the Bella Grace skincare. Is there anything you can tell me about that real quick?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how important and amazing our skincare truly is. Number one, we partner with the number one beauty manufacturer in the world. They make for no other direct sales companies except for us, but they also make for people like Charlotte Tilbury, Too Faced, Buxom, the Kardashians. This is a big time manufacturer, and they chose Bella Grace because of what we stand for. Now, our products have no red flag ingredients. This is how we were able to get into the EU. No dirty 30 is what they are called. They give you instantaneous results. This is why Melissa loves them so much. She can use the cleanser and the dewy serum and the moisturizer and see that difference right away.
Yep. Well, again, we do not promote products we don't believe in or that we don't use. Now, I don't use the makeup and skincare, but I use the Bella Grace. I take that every day, and I've told you what my benefits have been, and of course, what has happened to our audience. So again, we would really, really request you guys, if you're not taking it, please check it out. If you are, thank you, thank you, thank you. By the way, the retention rate on the elixir is about 80%. That says a lot, because if it wasn't working, they would not keep paying for it and ordering it, right?
That's right. Well, look at my results right here, Brandon. This is me, practicing. I feel like I'm the healthiest I can be. And that's me on the left, 9 months after taking the Bella. And that's all I did was the Bella Grace Elixir. Look at how much inflammation I was able to rid myself right there. I want to do this too, if I can, if you allow me.
Yeah.
So I know you don't use the skincare, Melissa does, but when she puts on the lip plumper and gives you that nice little kiss right on your lips, you might feel a little tingle on your lips right there. I'm telling you, the girls love the lip plumper. It's all natural, collagen peptides. There's no alcohol. If you're somebody out there who doesn't want to get lip injections, and my wife does them on the second floor, we have a med spa. They're painful. They don't look natural, but the collagen lip plumper makes them so much better. A lot of our ladies love that lip plumper. And then, of course, this is a skincare person, Sarah. You can see how much brighter her face is after using the skincare. I'm going to show you one more picture. I didn't show you this before. This is Kaylee Kemper. This is Bella Melt Alone. Kaylee's having a hard time losing weight with the product she was using. I got her on the Bella Melt. That's a personal friend of mine. She's in our company as well. But that was 3 weeks, Brandon. That's pretty. Now, I got her taking some more steps. I did get her eating more protein, good quality protein, and drinking more water. So there was a little bit more to it. But those Bella Melt caramels, if I can just take 10 more seconds, they curb your cravings, suppress your appetite, and they help you burn more fat. So if you're somewhere out there that has a lot of inflammation in your body, you're having some joint discomfort, you can't move, get on the Bella Grace Elixir. And if you're also someone who's also holding on to 10, 15, 30, 40 pounds, order that the Bella Melts as well. You'll be glad you did. Both of them work synergistically together. You help the organization, you help Brandon, you help Melissa stay on the air and actually expand. And that's what this is about. Getting our message out, the Bella Grace message and Brannon Howse's message out to the world.
Yeah, I cannot tell my audience how important it is, our relationship with Bella Grace. This is one of our biggest sponsors. Next to our foundation, this is our biggest sponsor. Okay?
Well, we love working with you. We love your mission. We love Melissa's mission, and we're here to support you at 100%.
And again, folks, they're our biggest sponsor, not because they just send us money, but because you use the product. And with each product, they give us a little contribution. So if you stop using the product, then you not only don't get the benefits like we get, but the money stops. So we urge you, if it's working for you, and obviously it is because the retention's about 80%, keep taking it. If you're not on any of these great products, particularly the Elixir, which has 80 clinical trials behind it, please go to melissahousebg.com and try it. I have people that are in our audience. The spouse started taking it. Their spouse was very skeptical. And then after several weeks and maybe even a few months, finally says, fine, I'll try it. And now they take it regularly because they're now seeing results. So it's amazing. Some people that are married, one spouse starts taking it, is very positive about it, getting good results. The other person in the marriage is very skeptical and even critical. But then all of a sudden they're like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And they get results, and now they take it. We hear this kind of thing. This is not, I mean, you do too, I'm sure, right?
Well, I can tell you, my wife and I both take 2 a day. We recommend our patients on both floors in my regenerative medicine practice and her medical spa. People take 2 a day. And it has just been a game changer for people's health on the inside and on the outside.
Yep. I do 2 a day. Now you can do 1 a day and you'll still get good results. Some say, well, I can only afford 1 a day. Well, then do the 1 a day. You don't have to do 2 a day. You'll still get great results with 1 a day. But there are many days I do 2 because I don't want to go back to a leaky gut, and your gut is lined with collagen, right? You taught me that, right, Doc?
Right.
And so clearly I had a leaky gut, which was why my hands were cracking and bleeding so much for so many years. And I have the pictures to prove it. And I don't want to go back to the thinning hair. And I don't want to go back to the hands cracking and bleeding. And I even have a picture real quick. I'll show again. This is what my hands looked like before Bella Grace. And that's on a fairly good day. That's on a fairly good day. Okay. That's after they are starting to heal over, and then they would crack and bleed again. But you can see the lines and the cracks where they were really bad. That one line down there, that's where it healed over. So again, this is a pretty good day. A bad day is where I literally have to put Band-Aids on because they're bleeding so much, and I'm getting, if you get any salt in them, if you drink anything with like lemon, I mean, your hand's burning, right? So this was a good day. This was a good week. I wish I'd taken pictures where it was bad. But it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. And any of you that have experienced this know it.
I can remember you telling me you'd have to change your shirts every once in a while because they would bleed on your cuffs. And when you were shooting, you didn't want the blood to be on there. That in itself is enough to go, hey, I need to make some changes. And I'll never forget the day we talked about how the gut really affects your skin. And you were surprised by that statement. But, everything happens in your gut through your body. So I'm so glad and so proud of you.
And not only was I having issues with my hands, I was starting to get it in my scalp, which of course can't be good to help your hair growth either, right? How are you going to have hair growing if your scalp is that, jacked up, right? So it's amazing what happened for me. And yes, a lot of times will take 2 a day because I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward, but I don't want people to think, oh, well, I can't afford 2 a day. You still get great results with 1 a day, but some of us are just choosing to do 2 a day. But this is the real deal. This is why it is our biggest sponsor next to our foundation, because so many people take it and they keep taking it. If it didn't work, folks, they wouldn't keep taking it. Why would they waste their time and money? They're not in this economy. But many people say to us, if this company ever stops offering this product, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, we're all in the same boat because I'll be having my hands cracking and bleeding and losing my hair again. So we believe in it big time here. We travel with it. We went to Northern Illinois to see Melissa's mother. We traveled with our Numi, our Gatatana, and our Bella Grace. We'll say to my wife when we leave, do we have the 3? Yeah. And I'm not talking about the 3 dogs. I'm talking about the 3 products. So there you go. We also bring the 3 dogs too, but there you go. All right. MelissaHouseBG.com. As always, great having you with us, Dr. Lucky.
Thank you, Brandon. I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much.
Look forward to it. Dr. Lucky checking in. MelissaHouseBG.com. Thank you for your support. Again, I think if you use it, you'll be supporting your health and us at the same time. That's a win-win. Joining me now is Trevor Loudon. He's an expert, as you know, on communism and so many other things. He joins us now. Trevor, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Brannon. Great to be on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Trevor, I am very distressed about how Tucker Carlson keeps platforming people that are anti-Semites, making horrible comments about the Jews. I'm tired of it. And now he's had on this Nick Fuentes. I don't know a lot about Nick, other than I know he's very popular with a lot of young people, and he's very says a lot of things that are, I think, anti-Semitic. But apparently, he also has an affinity for Stalin. Here he is just recently on Tucker Carlson. Listen.
So it was like mid-December, late December. It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. I was an admirer, but we don't need to go into that. I guess. Like,
let's okay. Let's get back. We'll circle back to that.
It was weird because the reason I mentioned that, it was almost like because I woke up that day and I was like, oh, it's December 18th, and I was just like very acutely aware of like today's like a strange day. This is the day that the attempt happened. So
okay,
like,
so let me just play this first part again, folks. Is this not cringy, Logan? Is this guy on the spectrum?
So it was like mid-December, late December. It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. I was an admirer. But
that is really cringy. What do you make of that?
Well, it's pretty shocking. One of the biggest mass murderers in history, one of the cruelest individuals, the man who basically ordered the famine that that killed millions of Ukrainians, who locked tons of people in the gulags. They say he's responsible for at least 20 million deaths. And you'd admire this guy. This is a guy who claims to be America first. Stalin, the guy who stole our atom bomb secrets so he could destroy us. Yeah, well, see, this is Fuentes, this is a smart young man who's very popular and has completely lost his way. He started out as a libertarian, became a Trump supporter, and now he is, I hate to use the word fascist, but he's moving in that sort of direction, a totalitarian type of direction. And, it's horrible to see someone who would lose their way like that, just like Candace Owens has lost his way and Tucker Carlson has also lost his way.
Tell me more about Stalin. How many did he murder?
At least 20 million, at least. In the gulags, they say it was about that number. He also purged his generals. He slaughtered people he didn't like. He killed most of his own cabinet. He was a sadist. He used to make his cabinet dance with each other in front of him for his own amusement, to humiliate them. But he oversaw his troops raped something like 2 million German women in the aftermath of World War II, officially sanctioned by the sound of it. He imprisoned hundreds of thousands of prisoners from the Eastern European countries, put them in the gulags and sent them to their deaths over long periods of time. It's hard to imagine a more sadistic butcher in world history, a hardcore Marxist-Leninist, a seminary student turned bank robber, turned revolutionary, turned ultra-sadist. And this is someone you would admire. It's no better than admiring Hitler.
Well, I think some of these people out there do, or they at least defend him. He's misunderstood, they say.
Yeah. See, what we're seeing on the US right, we're seeing a division in the US right between those, and I think you and I fit to this category, Brannon. We believe in the Constitution. We believe that America is a Christian nation. We support allies. We support a sound education system. We support strong defenses. We support Israel and other countries oppressed, under attack by enemy forces. It's when you grow up in the Reagan era, it's very easy to know who you're with and who you're against. But there's been a real infiltration of the conservative movement by borderline fascists. This started with the alt-right, many of whom were very pro-Russia, very pro-Nazi. And it's carried on, and this has been helped along by QAnon. It's been helped along by some people, even in the libertarian movement. And this guy Nick Fuentes was a libertarian for some time. But you're seeing this fascistic, very anti-Israel, very anti-Jewish, trend that's coming into the young conservative movement, and it's very, very troubling. And Nick Fuentes is their poster boy. Doesn't mean he subscribes to all of those views, but he's the poster boy of many of these people.
Well, I think the guys in the control room say that he's quite popular with the young people, right, guys?
Yeah.
They just said very popular. Do you think he could run for office and win? Huh? One guy says no, and Logan says yes. In the future, what do you think he could run for and win, Logan? He says once the older generation dies out, the younger generation would probably elect a guy like this, governor, senator, president.
Yeah, I think that's feasible. I think he's a little bit like, I don't know about Nick Fuentes himself. I think he might have pushed it too far already. Like a lot of us thought that Candace Owens might be destined for higher office at one point, but she's gone completely down the anti-Semitic train, echoing Russian propaganda like you wouldn't believe. She has burned all future bridges. I think Tucker Carlson is well on that way as well. And Nick Fuentes, I think, is going to burn all his bridges if he hasn't already done so.
But we also never thought people like AOC could get elected, or that Talita...
Rashida Tlaib.
I mean, dancing around with the Palestinian flag years ago. I mean, these people are like crazy.
Yeah,
they keep getting elected.
Yeah, and that is true. That is a point. I'd be very surprised if Nick Fuentes could get elected to anything. Certainly not in today's climate. But as Logan says, who knows what it's going to be like in 15 years' time, you know?
True. But how is he really any different than the guy running for mayor in New York?
Well, they're both extremists. You know, Nick seems to have a very collectivist streak in him, a very semi-totalitarian streak, I think, and certainly militantly anti-Israel and obsessively anti-Israel. So, he would have a few problems, I think. Mm-hmm. But he's got his little group, they call themselves groupers. He's got his disciples, he's got his groupies, etc.
What do they call themselves?
Groupers.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I should have looked that up.
Do you guys in the control room
Doesn't sound anything. Huh? Doesn't sound anything sanitary.
Well, why don't you look it up for me, please? I'm learning a lot tonight. You guys in the control room knew that. What, Logan? Far right, alt right nationalist. That's what a grouper is. A groiper.
The word for his definition. Yeah,
it's his word for America first.
Yeah, well, I don't think he represents real America first.
No,
he represents a kind of America I would not like to live in, because it would be a semi-fascist America.
How do these guys get traction? How do they get traction?
Well, see, what he is a reaction to woke, okay? So wokeism, and most of these people don't even understand this. Wokeism is Marxism. It was given to us by the Russians and the Chinese, and it's pushed this political correctness and this over-feminization and demasculated young men. This is all completely driven by the Russians and the Chinese. So these young men react to this. They're disgusted and appalled by it, which we all are. But the alternative is not Reagan conservatism. The alternative is a semi-fascist type of reaction. And they will say, well, America can't deal with this wokeism. We're allowing it to go crazy. We need authoritarianism. We need a strong state that will stamp out these people, and we need to push them and crush our enemies. Now, I'm a believer in the Constitution. There are enough laws on the books,
yes,
if applied, to take down every communist party and every traitor in the country. They're not being applied. We don't need an authoritarian state. We just need to use the laws we have. I just finished an interview where we talked about how Zoran Mandami has basically almost certainly deceived the authorities when he applied for his immigration status, for his citizenship, and he could be expelled on those grounds. And the question is, will Pam Bondi do it? You know, he joined Democratic Socialists. He became a citizen in 2018. He joined Democratic Socialists of America, a Marxist communist group, in 2017, and supported the Holy Land Five, Hamas supporters, also in 2017. Now, did he declare this on his citizenship application? And also, if you join one of these organizations within 5 years of becoming a citizen, you can also be expelled. And this has been done before. So we just need to apply the laws that are there. We don't need to become totalitarians or authoritarians or fascists. But young people, guided by Nick Fuentes and others, I believe, are going down the semi-fascist road because they don't understand what a real constitutional America can do if the leaders have the guts to do it.
Now, we
don't need one tyranny to fight another. We need to stick to the Constitution and use the laws properly against subversives.
And you know what's very interesting is I think the feminism, and the feminization of the American male through cultural Marxism, which, I've been talking about that for decades, and the Frankfurt School, which people now called woke. I wish they would just call it what it is, because woke is too nice. Woke is not descriptive enough. What it is cultural Marxism. And when I started talking about this so aggressively around 2003, people thought, he won't shut up about cultural Marxism. And I kept trying to tell them what's coming. We did our first seminar on this in November of 1997. Our first seminar at Worldview Weekend was November 1997 on cultural Marxism. And we had about 1,000 people at that Minnesota Worldview Weekend. And even some of the people were like, why are we discussing this? The Berlin Wall just fell a few years ago. And we were trying to explain, but you don't understand. It's not over. So I think the cultural Marxism which included the Frankfurt School's goal of destroying the American male, destroying the masculine, patriotic male, making the American male feel ashamed, making him sit down and be quiet because otherwise he's coming off as a caveman, an intolerant, a bigot, whatever words they want to use, a white supremacist now. These are all words they're putting on to men. That's not new. It was written by one of the Frankfurt School guys, Theodore Adorno, in his book 1950, that was all about authoritarianism and his F scale test. And the F, didn't mean fail. The F meant, as you know, Trevor, fascist. That if you were someone that had convictions and there are certain topics that were not open to discussion and you wouldn't even discuss it, you were considered intolerant, narrow-minded, rigid. That was a sign of a fascist, the F scale test, 1950, authoritarianism, white supremacy. These are not new terms, but this hollowed out the American male. And it left us with a bunch of these new so-called pastors, these feminized guys that you look at them and you think, are they gay? They got a wife and children, but is that cover? Because it seems like so many of these so-called pastors, they just seem like they got to be gay. They look gay, they act gay, they dress gay. They're feminine,
isn't it?
What?
It's fashionable to be gay because you don't want to be a toxic male. You got to be effeminate. But you're absolutely right, Brannon. And you were onto this well before most. I've got to give you full credit for that. We were given, the Frankfurt School and the Soviets and then the Chinese gave us wokeness, political correctness, the feminization of men. This was a deliberate communist program enforced over many years through the teachers' unions in the schools and through the left-wing churches. And so you get these young men who don't know what they are, they feel marginalized, and they want to be males, right? And what comes along? The Russians come along with their alt-right, their anti-wokeism, their Putinism, their Duginism, their Yavanism. And this is what's feeding the movement behind Nick Fuentes. So the Russians and the Chinese and the Frankfurt School gave us wokeness, and then we're getting the reaction coming out of the Russian camp, filtered through the QAnon, filtered through the Fuentes movement and the Candace Owen movement and the Tucker Carlson movement. This is the anti-woke movement, but it's fascism, it's communism, it's fascism, it's totalitarian. And here we are in the middle, Brannon, who always believed that men were men and women were women, never wavered on that belief, always believed in God and the Constitution, always believed in supporting our allies, having a strong America, and having a law and using the law to get rid of criminal subversives. We've never really wavered, have we?
Nope.
But they drove the young men, they used their political correctness to drive the young men into a state of desperation, and then the solution is fascism. The solution is totalitarianism.
And you know what the other solution is for the evangelical world? It is the Reconstructionists, the Dominionists, the Doug Wilsons, the hyper-Calvinist Doug Wilsons, the what seems to be a very strong brand of hating on women, relocating women down to their job is to make sandwiches. I mean, this is the kind of stupid stuff that Doug Wilson has said. Do you know who I'm talking about? This
I vaguely know, but I know
absolute disgusting looking individual.
But
he obviously is never going to preach against gluttony, but boy, he wants to preach against every other sin in the world. He's, in my opinion, a total slob. All right, but he bangs his chest and acts like he's this strong man, and we're leaders, and we're men. And what they are, in my opinion, is a theological cult, and they are passing off as the alternative to this wimpy, feminized, infiltrated cultural Marxism, Marxianity, quote, Christianity. And the reaction is, we want guys like Mark Dever and their crudeness and their shock jock, and then Doug Wilson, and now they're abolitionists, they're abortion abolitionists. Whereas if you and I say, hey, I'm not for abortion, but I'll take that legislation that outlaws it in every instance other than rape and incest.
That's an improvement.
It's an improvement. We're going to save lives. Babies will be saved. But they come out and they classify us as not real Christians. We're compromising. Yeah. And this is and many of them are into Reconstructionism. They want to create a Christian theocracy. They openly talk about how they want to create these Christian cities and governments. Now, am I for Christian values? Absolutely. That's the underpinning of our constitutional republic, the laws of nature, nature's God. But I'm not for a theocracy. And so I am seeing the reaction in not only as you're describing it with Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, and the political world, in the, quote, Christian and evangelical world, these guys now are penetrating across every church denomination. People that used to be fundamentalist Baptist, that would have never gone down the amillennial route. They would never gone down the let's build the kingdom of God on earth route, the Reconstructionist, the kingdom now, dominion now. They would have never gone down this route. Their traditions aren't for that, but they do now. These guys have penetrated every denomination. And I think it's because of what you're saying about why Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, these other guys are becoming popular, is a reaction to the demasculization and the trashing of a patriarchal society. And they think the alternative is to go to this extremism. And
this caveman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Well, see, look, the first thing to say is a strong man doesn't have to say I'm a strong man.
That's right.
And this is exactly, I think it's a good analogy, Brannon. The church has been pushed so far down the pansy pastor route, down the woke church route, that you get a reaction to that. But the reaction should be to restore Christianity to a sane, rational, basis. There's nothing wrong with it. And so we got driven down one route, but you don't you don't oppose communism with fascism. You oppose communism with the law and the Constitution. You don't oppose pansy Christianity with fascist Christianity. You get Christianity back on an even keel.
Yeah.
One extreme or another is just, see, the whole goal of the Russians and the Chinese, and this is all driven from overseas, and the Iranians too, is to get us divided into extreme camps.
Yeah.
There used to be a real consensus in America. We all knew what a conservative was, and most Democrats were conservative to some degree. We all knew what mainstream Christianity was, and the country functioned pretty well. We had shared values. There was minor divisions, but nothing like we have now. So they pushed the politics way to the left. They pushed the church's way to the left. Then the same enemies are pushing the politics into a fascist direction and the churches into a sort of theocratic direction, like they think we should be the mullahs of Iran or something.
Yep. Well, they're even bemoaning women voting. They're on video bemoaning women getting the right to vote. I mean, these guys are not unapologetic in their extremism, and they're rising within so-called evangelicalism. And I'm telling you right now, they are setting up the church, the real Christians, for persecution.
Yeah, because you can't imagine, you want to win people's hearts over. Some young woman who's just graduated college and is looking for some spiritual direction and wants to make something of her life is not going to be inspired by these people. She's not going to want to join their church. And so, there are eternal truths in politics and religion. And America is the nation in the world that has come closest to bringing those eternal truths into fruition, both religiously and politically. And because we have been driven off track by the hard left, guided by the Russians and the Chinese and all these people in the Frankfurt School, doesn't mean we should overcorrect by basically bringing Hitler into politics and the mullahs into religion.
Amen.
It doesn't. That's not the answer.
Listen to this.
It's not the answer at all.
Listen to this clip by Nick Fuentes and Tucker.
If everything is inherited, then there's no hope for the continuation of America. Mm-hmm. Do you see that?
Yeah, I don't think it's genetically inherited. And what you're saying about putting aside the tribal interest for the corporate interest, that's absolutely the case. And that's the only way the country's going to stay together.
Exactly.
And
that's my concern.
And I absolutely agree with you. I would say, though, that the main challenge to that, a big challenge to that, is organized Jewry in America. I don't think Bill Ackman is capable of that. I don't think Sheldon Adelson is capable of that. I don't think Yoram Hazony is capable of that, for that matter. And many other, on the right and the left. And I see Jewishness as the common denominator. And you're right. It's not all Jewish people feel the same way. No one would say that, but that does seem to be the common denominator. And I just feel like it needs to be called out explicitly. And I like what you said. If the other day, if you're serving in another country's military or have dual citizenship, you really can't be a part of this project.
Well, that's an easy one, but I am much more comfortable as a Christian and an American keeping it on that level because, it's easy to just set universal rules that apply to everyone, not just the Jews or the Christians or anybody, just like Americans can only serve in the U.S. military or they lose their passport. I mean, I don't know. That's not hard. And I don't know. Why not just say that?
Say what?
That. Why not make every statement about how Americans ought to behave applicable to all Americans? Like it's the defense of universal values that will hold the country together and the emphasis on parochial group values that will break it apart inevitably.
Because this is a particular issue and it's acute. Like I said, I think they are unique in that way. I think that's a unique issue, especially in the Republican Party, especially in the conservative scene. So
how would you like this all to be resolved?
What I would like is for the U.S. government to not be influenced by these kinds of foreign allegiances, not with money, that comes from, American citizens like Sheldon Adelson, not from foreign lobbyists. So, I mean, in terms of tangible things, I don't think we disagree on any of it. Like registering AIPAC and FARA, banning dual citizenship. Like I'm basically in agreement.
I think 80% of the public agrees with those things. So that's kind of what gets me a little bit annoyed. It's like, these are like America First, the concept. It's the most popular, self-evidently true idea you could have. Like, don't let foreign powers, especially tiny ones far away, control your country. Like,
oh, you mean like Qatar?
Of course not.
Mm. Yeah, like Qatar. Notice they never discuss Islam. Everything's about the Jews. I mean, the Jews make up what 1% of the global population, and the Muslims make up billions, and they're all worried about the Jews. But did you ever hear Tucker mention Qatar? Well,
well, he should know them well because he's been getting money from them. But did you notice the false alternative that Nick Fuentes came out with? We cannot allow the tribal to compete with the corporate. Well, America's not a tribal nation, and it's not a corporate nation. It's a constitutional nation of individuals. So we don't tolerate tribalism, and we don't want corporatism. Corporatism is fascism. So he said we're either going to have balkanization or we have fascism. That right there tells you what he's on about. But the thing there, Russia, China, Iran, the cartels, the Cubans have way more power in America than Israel's got. And Israel's an ally. I don't mind. I think Israel should have some influence in America. It doesn't control America. It doesn't have near the influence that China has.
But they control America.
Gave us Barack Obama and China gave us Barack Obama and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. How many presidential candidates has AIPAC ever given us?
And if the Jews were controlling America, don't you think they would have arrested and prosecuted all of these Jew haters out on the streets in America and the college campuses and the professors? They would have never gotten, those professors would have never gotten those jobs and gotten to that spot. The Jews, I just looked it up, 0.2% of global population. 0.2. Okay, what percentage is Muslims? 24%. 1.9 billion. 24% of global population are Muslims. That's 1.9 billion compared to the Jews, which is 0.2%. It's like 15 million Jews.
Well, that's exactly right. So this is complete red herring. We are faced by very dangerous enemies in Iran, China, Russia, Cuba, who have killed Americans and attempted to kill Americans and still are with their fentanyl, their terrorism, etc. But AIPAC's the problem. Look, if you're on the left and you hate Israel, it could be because you hate Jews or you're a communist and you want to bring Israel down because Israel is an impediment to communism. If you're on the right and you don't like Israel, it's almost always because you don't like Jews. Simple as that. I think Fuentes is being disingenuous here. I think he genuinely, and this is my opinion, genuinely has an aversion to Jews, as per se, sees Jews as a major problem in the world, much like Hitler did, much like the Nazis did, that the Jews are disproportionately malevolent and cause a lot of trouble. They have influence way out of proportion to their numbers, a malevolent influence. And this is now becoming a popular sentiment amongst the young people. I was talking to my daughter in New Zealand lately, and she says, why are my friends hating Jews now? Why is it all popular to hate Jews? This is in New Zealand. This is becoming a sentiment amongst young people. It's okay and popular and even fashionable to be down on the Jews. Mm. That's a very serious thing.
Now let's switch real quick on to Snap. Supposedly this runs out Saturday, November 1st. Who knows? Between now and Saturday, maybe they'll come up with something and open the government up. But they've tried to vote on a clean resolution multiple times. It's not happening. Apparently, the Democrats are saying, look, our donors are going to be really upset with us if we open the government. And I don't know if by donors they mean George Soros types or what. But what do you think is the probability that they're not opening the government and going to cancel and run out of SNAP money? And by the way, we're now reading that the SNAP money, 59% of all illegal aliens are on the SNAP money. 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps. That's what we're being told. So you thought it was bad enough that we had some folks who are here that are, American citizens, born and bred and raised here, that, might create a little trouble if they don't get their food for themselves or their children. Okay, we don't want to see anybody go hungry or starve. We don't want to see it thrown onto the children. But what if you have millions of illegals that are here who are already criminals because they're here illegally and are here who hate America, hate our country? What are the odds that the cultural Marxist Democrats are doing this on purpose, been waiting for this deadline so that they can then use this for the communist tactic of pressure from above? That'd be them, the members of the House and the Senate and the governors, pressure from above and then pressure from below at the street level. What do you think the odds are that this will be resolved by Saturday? And do you think this is being put into the equation so they can gaslight President Trump? They will get some of these people to go do things. Maybe a flash mob shows up at grocery stores and they start looting grocery stores. And then all of a sudden we see this going on all over the country, kind of like we saw in 2020, right? And now President Trump says, I'm not going to tolerate it. And he starts sending out his strike force, which, by the way, they're preparing to have strike forces available to hit every state by April of 2026. So he starts sending out strike forces. Now they catch this on the media and everybody's cell phones. And they now use the predictive prophecy that Trump is a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's wannabe.
He's a fascist.
And now he's a fascist. Now we're going to bait him into doing what it is we want him to do so that we have the video footage rolling into the midterms. Do you think there's any chance they'll solve this by Saturday? And do you think they are setting a trap? Or do you think this is just, they're not thinking that far?
I think unless the Republicans cave, the Democrats will not solve this. The Democrats want this. They want to prove that Trump is an authoritarian. They want to plunge the country into chaos. The Democrats never complained about Black Lives Matter when they were burning cities and looting stores. Kamala Harris cheered them on, said we need more of it. So the Democrats are fully on the side of the radical left, and they want to lead this country into a revolutionary situation, violence, all of it, if they can do that. And they will use this opportunity. I'm sure there's little communist groups sitting out there right now plotting about which supermarkets they're going to hit. I guarantee it. We know that Black Lives Matter was a communist operation 100%. Chinese communist operation. I think it's inconceivable that America's enemies will not try and exploit the situation and make any rioting or chaos worse and worse and worse. They'll either try and make Trump capitulate or make him react. And the communists say it's not the action, it's the reaction. Just like we were talking about before with the wokeism, it's not the action, it's the reaction that we're looking for. They want to, drive males crazy, so they overreact. They want to drive Trump crazy. They want anarchy in the streets, so he overreacts. You imagine if we had a big riot and we had a Kent State situation where 3 or 4 people got shot or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they
Imagine
want.
what that would do.
Yeah. All right, let me switch to another topic for running out of time here. One American News had a reporter on the ground in Portland the other day. And this reporter gets into an altercation. But you're about to see the host and the reporter talk about how the police in Portland are now Antifa. That the police are pro-Antifa. Now, I warned my radio audience. I warned my radio audience probably 10, 12 plus years ago. Stop honoring people simply because they wear a badge or a uniform. Honor those who are worthy of honor. That's what the Bible says. Give honor to those who are worthy of honor. I said every tin pot dictator wears a uniform with a chest full of medals, right? And you're going to find, and I was particularly onto this maybe even 15 years ago, because I was studying so intensely for my book, The Coming Religious Reich, and I was writing about the Holocaust and how the military was used and how the police were used to round up the Jews and to round up Christians who were defending the Jews and speaking up and speaking out about the fascist system of Hitler. And I said, if we don't stop worshiping people that wear a uniform, your kids and grandkids are going to be so confused when good people stand up against people who are wearing uniforms. When the cops come to knock on your door to arrest you because you're a Christian, are you going to go along or are you going to resist? Well, some of you may want to go along. That's whatever God calls you to do. Others may say, I'm sorry, they are not operating as legitimate police anymore under our Constitution. They are no longer ministers of righteousness to reward the righteous and punish the wicked, per Romans 13. They're just criminals. And I will deal with them as I do any criminal that tries to remove me from my home. And some people may choose to do that. Everybody's got to do what's according to their convictions and conscience. And I said, but when tyranny comes running over top of us with people in uniforms and no one wants to resist because they're all wearing uniforms because you've been told to kiss the feet if everybody wears a uniform, well, don't be shocked. And I'm sure a lot of my audience 15 years ago thought, what is he talking about? Well, now we, of course, saw Biden with the military behind him calling Trump supporters, America First people, conservatives, patriots, constitutionalists, domestic terrorists, right? We saw what they did to people that went peacefully and patriotically and just stood on the lawn of the U.S. Capitol, didn't even go in the building, and they too got arrested and thrown in jail without trials, like a third world communist country. And now we're hearing, and I said, look, in the last few years, you know that your police chiefs, many of them are elected by the city council. Many of the city council are full-on Marxist and Islamist. So don't be shocked when the Islamist and the Marxist are running the police departments. And we're seeing them even make their police badges now in Arabic in places like Michigan. We're seeing the FBI take a knee in honor of Antifa, a communist group. Many of them, thankfully, under the Trump administration 2.0 have been fired. Thank you, Kash Patel and others for that. Thank you. But we know that many of these police departments are full of leadership that answers to a Marxist city council. So what do you know, before I play the clip, of this accusation that the police in Portland are now doing the bidding and allowing Antifa to hide behind them?
Well, I've always said Antifa is the military wing of the Democratic Party and the communist movement. So they do things, they intimidate people, they attack conservatives, they patrol the streets. You know, the original Antifa in Germany was the military wing, the street wing of the German Communist Party. So these are not anti-fascists, they are totalitarians, they are thugs. But, you know, if you're a top cop in Portland and you've been there for a few years, you're part of the system. You're part of the democratic socialist machine that runs Portland. Now, so who's going to pay your pension? What have you grown up in? What's the culture? You know, you are part of the progressive socialist culture. They pay your money. They're going to pay your pension. Why the heck are you going to stand against your Antifa, which is just another branch of the machine? They're going to cooperate with it. Doesn't mean that every low-level cop agrees with this, but if you've been in the system in Portland for long enough, you are part of the system. Mm-hmm. If you're in Chicago long enough in the cops, you're part of the system. You know, the police are different depending on the political complexion of the city you're in. Yep. If you go to Omaha, Nebraska, your cops are probably going to be salt of the earth. If you come to Florida, they're going to be great. I've had great experiences with cops in Florida. But if you go to Portland, the many of them will not be, especially the higher ranks, the political ones, the political appointees. They are going to be, they're going to be part of the police state. Cops follow orders. They've done surveys on cops. Would you be willing to, they're going to put the orders they're given above sometimes the legality of the situation, sometimes the constitutional rights of the people. We've seen this happen in Ruby Ridge. We've seen this happen with the ATF, and we've seen it happen many times. So, you are wise. If you know your local cops, get on well with them, but don't assume the cops in these big left-wing cities are on your side or are going to be following the Constitution.
So here's what happened on One America News the other night.
Portland mayor and the Portland Police Department in chief are going to have a surprise from Trump's DOJ. But fill us in on the response you've seen from that mayor, from the local prosecutor, and from the chief of police. Because to me, these three are so corrupt, they're the ones allowing this to happen every day.
It's absolutely. We have so much video of watching. We call them Cop Tifa because
Cop Tifa. We call them Cop Tifa. Now it's not going to play, all right?
We call them Cop Tifa because Antifa runs the police here. It's absolutely evident. We have every bit of that type of video out there to the point where we have people out here. See, we have look at how triggered they get. Look at that. Yeah, Antifa runs the cops.
Oh, because my brother's a cop.
Well, your brother needs to do a better job because he's terrible at it.
Yeah, please tell him not to interrupt our interview. Yeah, go harass somebody else, pal. Go harass somebody else.
Everybody be doing a show, but you're not going to come up here. The cops are Antifa.
You're full of crap. You're just full of shit.
We've got the video that shows otherwise. Yeah, we do.
I wish you could hear me. I'd fill him in on what we've seen cops do.
Wait, can I ask you something?
Dan Ball has a question for you.
Yeah, since you're going to interrupt my show, pal.
Go ahead, Dan. Hey, I'll give him the question.
Between Antifa...
Do you know the Summer of Love in 1969 is over? Do you realize the hippie movement died long ago? You obviously went and got a job.
Antifa means anti-fascist.
Not when you used it.
Chad, just walk away from that guy.
Go play games. I'm gonna do this.
Just walk away. Just ignore him. Just ignore him.
The people do.
He's one of them. He's one of those. He's one of those older white liberals who thinks that Antifa is fighting a fascist king like Trump. He doesn't understand how violent they get. Look at him.
Oh yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah, okay. I bet you do.
Wow.
See, this is what we're dealing with. This is how stupid things are out here. No, you can't. Excuse me.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Get out. Back up from me. I need you to give me room.
If he touches you, we got it on camera, and we'll get him for assault for you.
This is what happens. We are here we are here. Back off.
Whoa, brother. That's assault.
That's assault.
You better give your name. You're getting arrested tonight,
assault,
pal.
Man. This is what I'm talking about. You got it right here. This is why I came to the ICE facility to do this hit, Dan.
And that's not some crazy 23-year-old kid in all black mask in his face. He's like a 70-year-old white liberal crazy man.
What's your name?
Let me ask you, what is it with all these older white people that do this, that show up at the No Kings rally? Are you shocked by that?
Well, no, because these are the 60s and 70s radicals who've never grown up. These people marched in support of the Viet Cong in the 60s. Then they loved Fidel Castro and the Sandinistas. And then they marched in the World Trade Organization riots and whatever. They are hardcore on the left. And they've this their life. That's their whole consciousness is framed this way. So no, there are people like this in every community.
These are these are many of these people. I bet you are former school teachers and professors.
Oh, no, not many of them. The majority of them, I would say. And this is a sad thing because they are the biggest child molesters in the country. They just warp kids' minds. That's all they do. And they go into the teaching profession, especially to do that. It's a good union job. They get to shape kids' minds. They get to turn out little clones of themselves and make themselves feel good about it. The quicker we can get rid of public schools, the better for everybody concerned.
Absolutely.
That gentleman there's probably never done a real day's work in his life. Went to college, become a communist, and then became a school teacher. And now he's retired and dreaming of his former glories, marching for the Sandinistas.
Now, this is, then we'll wrap. Here is, after Portland police reluctantly took an insurgent into custody at the ICE facility, one of the officers hoisted the F Trump flag. This is what they're talking about. Okay, I won't play any audio because I don't know what kind of cussing is going on. I'll take that off. But you're going to watch one of these cops. After that, I guess they reluctantly arrested the guy. And then the cop is going to himself start raising the blank Trump flag. There you go. Yep, there you go. And apparently they have a lot of video footage of this kind of thing. So your police in some of these cities are now in cahoots with the Marxist Antifa. And in some of the cities, they're in cahoots with the Islamic terrorists, which makes me wonder if we see an October 7th style attack on America, how do we know that we won't actually see police officers, whether Marxist or Islamist, who are police officers or EMT and first responders, actually beginning or partaking in the terrorist attacks, which we know that DNI, the Department of National Intelligence, has apparently warned first responders about these terrorist attacks. And we're hearing words that they are gathering uniforms to wear to confuse people. But what if some of the first responders are themselves Islamist and Marxist that are involved in it? Can you imagine how confused the public will be? And if some of them start engaging in shooting people, is the average citizen going to be ready to respond to someone wearing a uniform who is actually, a cop, or someone who's in a fake cop uniform, or is a cop who's really a fake cop, even though he's actually a cop? You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, he's a fake cop. I mean, this can get very confusing fast. Yet you got video of these cops waving the Antifa F Trump sign.
Well, that's right. If we do get into civil war, and God forbid that should ever happen, it won't be the blues versus the grays. It won't be clear lines of demarcation. This will be a horrendous situation. And but we've got to understand. The cops, police are like everybody else in the community. They reflect the community from which they came. And if they've grown up in Portland and been to college in Portland, and they're going to absorb some of that culture. And as their leaders are following that culture, those who support that culture will be promoted. So that we shouldn't be surprised by this.
Well, and let's go to we've talked about it.
I was just going to say, too, if you're Jewish and you get injured in a riot and you go into a hospital and you've got a Muslim doctor or a Muslim nurse, you're going to be a little concerned, I would say.
Yeah, I would say. All right, here, let's go to this real quick and we'll wrap. Milgram experiment. This was back in the 1960s. We've played it many times. This psychologist, Stanley Milgram, he wanted to try to show what would be the willingness of people to go along and even go against their own personal conscience if someone of authority told them it's okay. This is, again, something we've played many times over the years, but it bears playing again as we wrap with Trevor tonight. Watch this.
A decade earlier, psychologist Stanley Milgram had also looked at how we respond to authority. In order to understand how people were induced to obey unjust regimes and participate in atrocities such as the Holocaust, he set up an experiment. Volunteers were told they were taking part in scientific research to improve memory.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher.
Separated by a screen, the teacher would ask the learner questions in a word game and administer an electric shock when the answer was incorrect. He was told to increase the voltage with each wrong answer.
Cloud, horse, rock, house. Answer. Wrong. 150 volts. Answer, horse.
Experiment, that's all. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
He refuses to go on. The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants didn't know that the learner was really an actor and the so-called sharks harmless.
You're gonna get a shock, 180 volts.
I can't stand the pain. Let me out of here.
Stand it. I'm not gonna kill that man, eh? I mean, who's gonna take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman?
I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please.
All right, next one, slow. Walk, dance, truck, music.
Two-thirds of volunteers were prepared to administer a potentially fatal electric shock when encouraged to do so by what they perceived as a legitimate authority figure. In this case, a man in a white coat.
375 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow in there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering with less voltage. Can't you check in and see if he's all right, please?
Milgram's findings horrified America. They showed that decent American citizens were as capable of committing acts against their conscience as the Germans had been under the Nazis.
Yeah, and we have seen studies where people who were studied in Nazi Germany, experts, psychologists, and others that studied them said they would have been considered as sane as any police officer in Kansas City at the same date and time. But through group consensus, through putting on a uniform, military, police, a medical doctor wearing a lab coat, which they had the doctors in their white coats measuring the noses of Jews to say, you see, they're subhuman. That's what they were doing. People would buy into this. And this has been proven over and over and over again. And now here we are with police in these deep Marxist cities doing the bidding of the Marxist. Trevor, I want to leave people with hope tonight, but I'll have to tell you, all the signs are pointing. In fact, the studies by Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen show that a big percentage of Americans think we're headed toward a civil war. That's not what I want, but most Americans aren't as plugged in as we are, or as this audience is, and yet they see enough to know there's no way that the country is divided. There's no way it's coming back together. The Republican Party is splintered. They have splintered MAGA. America First now, many of them are anti-Semites, right? They're saying, as Tucker Carlson said on this broadcast recently, that he hates Christian Zionists. How are we ever going to see people get back together when they're hating people like me and others and in this audience? Listen to Tucker. Listen to this.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton. I mean, I've known them all, George W. Bush, like the Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that? Right. And I can just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody, because what?
He dislikes the Christian Zionists more than anybody. And yet among the Christian Zionists, you and I both know are people like you, me, others that are some of the most patriotic, upholding of right and wrong. We would never seek to dehumanize someone. We might disagree with them. We will argue with them. We'll debate with them. We want to destroy ideas. We don't want to destroy individuals. That if we saw someone who's being mistreated, an LGBTQ person, a transgender person that's being assaulted and mistreated, if we could, we would step in and stop it, or we would certainly get on the phone and say to the police, we need someone to come over here. We've got a problem. I mean, you have some of the most when it comes to ethics, seeking to do what is right and having an understanding of history and the Holocaust. These are some of your best citizens. Your Christian Zionists are some of your best citizens, and they have been some of your most loyal, hardworking, volunteering, donating Republicans, right? And now you
100%.
have a guy.
Well, Ronald Reagan was would be classified as a Christian Zionist.
And now you have the likes of this. This is what's now penetrating the GOP. And MAGA. Yeah. So how do we have any hope that we can remain one country. We have completely different objectives and goals and values. We have nothing that really holds us in common anymore.
Well, see, this is because of the two. You got the fascists, the people leaning fascist on one side under the influence of the Russians, and the woke people on the other. This is the time where people straight up the middle, the classic conservative, maybe even some moderate Democrats, have just got to start calling these people out. And I commend people like James Lindsay, who has taken a lot of slings and arrows, calling out the so-called, what he calls the woke right. I call them the pro-Russia right, or the false right, or the fascists. He has taken a lot of flack by calling them out, but he will be proven right in the end. So we have to be very courageous and very bold and say we're not going to tolerate this stuff in our movement. We are straight up conservatives. And I think most people still follow straight up and down here. It's the extremes being led by Tucker and Nick Fuentes and others going off in a very bad direction one way, and the radical left, the woke people in the other. Neither faction is going to save America. Both factions are a danger to America. We've got to be very, very bold and very blunt and very straight down the middle and bring people back to that middle ground. That's what we have to do.
Well, and you can do it through watching this broadcast and reading the books, the articles of Trevor Loudon at trevorloudon.com. trevorloudon.com. You can find them there again, trevorloudon.com. Trevor, as always, thank you for your clear-minded historical perspective and analysis.
Thank you for being a voice for many years for what is right, Brannon. So it's a pleasure to be on your show.
You're a good friend and have been for a long time. Trevor Loudon checking in tonight, folks. Check out his site, trevorloudon.com, and we'll be right back. We have a big announcement, folks, something we've been waiting on for several months, and it's now here. It's called Bella Melt. You were on it for just 1 week when you lost 3 pounds. So in the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. It's a sugar-free fast melt caramel. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel. We're noticing other people losing up to 7 pounds in the first week. 4 pounds has been about the average. As you lose weight and as you take these Bella Melts, it's going to help lower that blood sugar in your body as well.
All the information is there. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. Just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 fast action. Joining me now is Anni Cyrus. There's a big election coming up in New York City and I think Minneapolis, where both cities could be electing Islamist and Marxist. They're one and the same. They espouse Marxism and Islam. And of course, everybody's got their eye on Mamdani there in New York City. And of course, I think they're setting him up to be the next Barack Hussein Obama. What is this guy really all about? Let's talk about some of the things he has said, his father, and are the Democrats, the Marxists and the Islamists that have taken over the DNC, setting him up for a national election? Joining me now is, and let's talk about Israel, what's going on over there real quick too. Joining me now is Anni Cyrus. Anni, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Brannon.
All right, let's talk about Mamdani. Is he going to win the election in New York City?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. And
yes, but can I just put a quick insert in there? While we're watching Mamdani and while we're watching Omar Fattah in Minneapolis, I put out a Substack today they tried, and I don't know why, but I caught it. On November 4th, there's also 11 Muslim candidates going up in Georgia.
Whoa. What's the name of the article?
Islamization of Georgia.
There it is. Islamization of Georgia politics has officially begun. Meet your Muslim candidates. 11 candidates.
Yes, I normally encourage people to go to my Substack, but for this one, I literally have spent with my half body working only. I have spent almost 10 days gathering the names of every single one of them, their backgrounds, and what triggered this is when here's one of the things I do. I sign up to their newsletters, being all the organizations that support Muslim candidates. I get an invitation to a meet and greet in Georgia on past Sunday. I look at the poster, I'm like, there are 11 heads on this poster. What are we looking at? Long story short, on Sunday, they had an event where people got to meet their candidates. Now, the poster should have said, meet your Muslim candidates. I did. But I know that Mamdani is a huge deal, and so is Fatah, but this is exactly, Brannon, how they do it and how they did it. In 2018, they got our attention on Ilhan Omar or Rashida, while 37 other of them came in. In 2020, the same thing happened. This year, they got our attention heavily on these two big controversial names. As of right now, I have counted 27. I only covered the 11 in Georgia. I'm doing my best to get the rest of them in as well. But aside Mamdani and Omar Fatah, there are 27 other Muslim candidates in different states, 11 of them Georgia, running as well. And 8 out of 11, Brannon, are first-time runners in Georgia.
Now, I noticed one of them is running for governor.
Yes, she is running for governor. Palestinian American running for governor. There's another person's name in there. She immigrated to America only in 2005. Brannon, how do you go from, I'm an immigrant, I've been here for 24 years. How do you go from an immigrant, adult immigrant, that's important, adult immigrant, to a running candidate in Georgia in a matter of 20 years if you didn't have CARE and ISNA backing you, funding you, and promoting you? Mm-hmm. This is exactly how they're infiltrating. I remind your audience, early on this year on your program, I said, if my calculation is correct, by end of midterm, we're going to be sitting at 320 Muslim active officials in America. If these 27, that's not including these 29, this year only, this November, if these 29 already hit offices by January 1st, 2026, we have already reached 296. We're only, 21 short for my numbers to meet up by end of next year.
All right. Obama 2.0. Mamdani is their next great hope. So after he wins in New York City, should we expect them to set him up for a run for the White House 4 years later?
Well, here's the thing. A good argument we need to keep in mind. Mamdani was not born in America, and it's too much of a public information.
That's right. Yeah. He wasn't, was he?
Yes.
But then again, neither was Barack Obama, was he?
But that's the thing. Mamdani's information is too public to backtrack. Obama wasn't. Nobody knew. Obama was an overnight sensation. There was no proof. They got the fake birth certificate ahead of Obama becoming someone. So, guesses. Is the next person in White House going to touch laws and change it that you can run for president even if you're not born in America? Or the reason I called Mamdani Obama 2.0 was that he's going to be the leader of the full conquer of politics in America. He has the sharpness. He's young enough. He's way ahead of Obama age-wise. He still can catch up. Even if he cannot become the president, he will be the voice that's going to pick the next president, the next senator, the next Congress. Obama 2.0 was the new face, young, charismatic, sharp character with a higher race card to hold. Because I can tell you nowadays, unless you're me, if you're an activated Muslim, Your Middle Eastern card plays way faster than black card. And he has that. He holds that.
So tell me a little bit more about him, like maybe I'm reading about his father. Let's see, I think I had some information here about his dad.
Isn't he some sort of chair?
Sits on the advisory council for an anti-Israel group along with Hamas member Rami Abdou.
Right. And I think, Brannon, this is one of the grounds that the two Congress members are using to try to denaturalize Mamdani's citizenship for wrong information application. One of them is, do you have any ties to foreign or national terrorist groups? If the answer is no, and your father does, then you lied in your naturalization paperwork. Now, if I could, I'm not trying to be jumping, but everybody's been asking me all day, what do I think of this move? I will say this is a very dangerous move. They have to walk this very narrow path extremely carefully, because if fate changes, then someone can just come and denaturalize me. So yes, it's a dangerous can of worms to open if they try to denaturalize him and remove him. It makes all of us targets, all of us being foreigners with naturalization. However, they are so far they're doing it extremely legal and extremely based on Constitution. They don't listen to big clickbait media trying to remove Mamdani because he's running for office. That is not. If you read the actual petition, it is mentioning of, number one, they have evidence that he has lied in his paperwork. Now, you could say, well, so did Ilhan Omar. Why are they not going after Ilhan? They're dabbling down on being smart. They're not targeting him for being a Muslim candidate. They're targeting him for running openly as a socialist that goes against our Constitution. So they're doing it right. I'm hoping they continue doing it right. I agree with everyone who's worried. I had probably 50 Iranian American calling me saying, you got to stop this. I'm not going to stop them from doing their job. It is scary. If they miss a step, they open a can of worms for all of us to be targeted. As of today, they haven't. They picked all the proper legal codes to go after Mamdani. Now, the question is it going to happen, Brannon? Absolutely not. No federal judge in America is going to make himself or herself a target of millions of socialists and millions of Muslims. So don't worry. They can try. Nobody's denaturalizing Mamdani.
All right, let's go to him talking about the Jews, because he loves to talk about the Jews. Listen to this.
The importance for me of international solidarity is that it takes me out of the American political landscape and reminds me just how tame some of the things are that I'm actually calling for. And it reminds me of the necessity of grounding ourselves in the struggles as opposed to the fights around the struggles. For anyone to care about these issues, we have to make them hyper-local. We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. We are in a country where those connections abound, especially in New York City. You have so many opportunities.
So if the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. They're also running around, these progressive Marxist Islamists, and saying that ICE has been trained by the IDF. What do you make of this?
Okay, number one, to anybody who says ICE been trained by IDF, I wish. If ICE was trained by IDF, we would have 0 sleeper cells in this country, okay? We all know what IDF has done. They go track they track down the ghost of Beirut. Nobody knew who he is. They called him the ghost of Beirut. So, no, IDF did not train ICE agents, which, again, I wish we could get their use and training, help on training. As far as Mamdani, on his debate, he talks about how he can't wait to cooperate with Jews of New York, and he cannot wait to welcome them to their mosque and all of that. And then on the other hand, he sits there and lies, openly lies, because he also does the taqiyya. What he does on his debate is the taqiyya, lying for purpose of hiding his agenda. But the truth is, he has proven over and over by supporting Palestinian terrorist groups, by never denouncing Hamas, he has proven his stand. He is anti-Jew. Now, something interesting that was brought up a few days ago. By the way, Brandon, I don't know about you, but I love when people come at me with their absolute fact to prove me wrong, and then I give them one sentence and then just sit down and laugh. But the new fact, Mamdani is not anti-Semite because one of his biggest donors is George Soros, who's a Jew himself. People, that's not fact. Actually, that is proof. Mamdani is a machine to help destroy America through red-green axis. When you hear the name Soros behind anything, you should immediately know facts are showing you that this person or this group or this organization is here to destroy our country. Just because Soros is Jew doesn't mean he's pro-Israel. Where is George Soros' donation to Israelis after October 7th and the devastation they had to face?
Yeah, we have Jews that walk around with the keffiyeh around their neck, right? Protesting Israel.
Yes.
We have Karl Marx, Sigmund Freud, many apparently self-hating Jews. So again, Soros, I think when he was interviewed by 60 Minutes, asked if he felt any, remorse about going around with his handler when his dad turned him over to a handler so he could make it through, the time of the Nazis. Did you feel bad going around with your handler taking the property of the Jews? I think he was like 14 at the time, if I remember correctly. Didn't he say no, he didn't feel any remorse?
Exactly. And here, not to just pick on Jews for sake of argument, we have pastors who send their people to mosques. So this is not an isolated
So you can't say
situation.
he's a Christian. He loves Christianity. No, he claims to be a Christian like Tucker Carlson while they spout anti-Semitism. Tucker wants to keep saying, well, I'm a Christian. I'm like, really? By what definition, Tucker?
Exactly.
And,
So,
of course, we saw Tucker interviewing Nick Fuentes. What do you make of this? Because they are splitting the MAGA movement, and there's so many divisions now. They've split the evangelicals. They've splintered MAGA. They've splintered America. They've splintered families. I really don't know how the country can survive in its current form, because I just don't think there's enough common values to hold us together as a republic. I'm not even sure the Republican Party will survive as we know it.
I would agree at going backward from last comment. A Republican Party, nobody likes to hear this. Republican Party doesn't exist anymore, Brannon. The idea of it does. Itself doesn't. When you have less than a handful of true Republicans and you call the rest of them rhino, your party doesn't exist anymore. Now, my understanding is that the left has become the new socialist. The right has become the new left. No logic, emotion 100%. Anything you disagree with them, immediately you're the enemy. And it's not about the party. I don't want to blame the politicians because it's not the politicians, it's us. I had this discussion this morning with someone that it has started from schools and we said nothing. This person was very grateful that her parents pulled her from school and homeschooled her. And that's where the discussion started. This starts from schools, then gets to our colleges. Then from there it gets into corporations. Then it gets to Congress and Senate and White House. We allowed common sense to be removed from our brains. Therefore, if somebody doesn't agree with us 100%, automatically they're our enemy. The division started a while ago, but now there's division everywhere. And again, there won't be a unity because politics have become everybody's identity. Brannon, not to constantly go there today, but is there a unity between Christians when it comes to concept of following Christ?
No, there's not unity. There's a gazillion different groups. The Gospel Coalition, those are cultural Marxists, the Dominionist, Reconstructionists who want some kind of theocratic religious government that looks like a Christian Taliban. There's the Christian evangelical dispensationalists who study the Bible in context, like myself. I mean, there's so many stinking divisions of the so-called evangelical Protestant churches. There is no evangelicalism left in America. It used to be a coalition that created the Christian coalition, and many evangelicals would go out and vote for candidates. Now you got many self-described evangelicals voting for Marxist candidates.
And why do you think they started dividing Christians first?
So that they could win, because the last group they had to penetrate and get control of in order to take over the country were the evangelical Christians.
The majority, yes, that's America. If we didn't catch it then, what makes you think people are going to catch it now, Brannon?
That's right.
They're not going to even think about it. They won't.
So let me ask you, as I flip to another topic real quick. 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps. What do you make of this?
I don't believe that.
Well, let me just play what Newsmax put out. Here's what Newsmax has put out. You tell me if you believe it. Here we go.
2 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans, because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps.
59% of all illegal aliens.
Yeah, but you misunderstood I don't believe that. I think that is way lower than reality.
Oh, wow. You're going the other direction. I thought you were doubting the number was too big.
No.
You're saying the number is too small.
Yes, and I will give you an example. I knew a family in Los Angeles, California, from India.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 family members who were in the country illegally, trying to figure out to turn that illegally into legally. This legal family was taking food stamp, giving it to the illegals to survive. That is why I know this 59% is incorrect. Because a lot of those Afghans, Indians, Iraqis, Haitians, Assyrians, Somalians, the legal ones are using food stamp to help the illegal ones that we don't know about. So I would go way higher than 70 to 75%. Is being used by illegals.
All right, let's say that the Republicans and the Democrats don't come to an agreement by Saturday, November 1st, and reopen the government, get SNAP food stamps going again. Do you believe this is being used by the cultural Marxist Democrats and the Islamists to agitate people to violence, to looting, to shoplifting, to protesting and stealing, so that then Trump is triggered, can go in with his National Guard strike forces, and they can have video of him turning the military or National Guard on Americans, and then they have their images for their commercials for 2026 midterm elections? Are they going to set up a scenario where they can bait and gaslight President Trump here?
Absolutely. 100%. No question about it. However,
is he going to fall for it?
I don't know. It depends. If he's too busy buying more time for Hamas and giving more money to Turkey and making more friends with Qatar, he's barely in America. I don't think he's going to even notice. His only comment about No King rally was, it's fake. It wasn't that many numbers. That is not a presidential address to an issue. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with No King people who get on the streets. But as a president, the amount of time he's putting into bashing Bibi, supporting Hamas and pushing Turkey into Gaza, he needs to stop putting that time into America. But if he does notice it, I don't think he's going to do the right thing. He's going to come out and he's going to say all the wrong things, and he's going to do all the wrong reactions where the Americans are going to believe the setup. And the more scary part is, this isn't a setup for Democrats to flip seats again. This is, as you said, it's for Democrats, socialist, Muslim socialists to flip seats.
So you don't see the Democrats coming to a deal before Saturday?
No. That would go against their agenda. Why would they come to an agreement by Saturday?
Well, apparently their biggest donors are telling them, we're done supporting you financially if you settle with this guy. So I'm thinking the George Soros types they're really calculating on this, and they're probably maybe organizing this. I mean, can you imagine a flash mob? You know, they can use your cell phones. They can use the Obama phones. A lot of them got. They can use cell phones, whether they got them from the government or bought them or whatever. But they can use these cell phones to get everybody organized and do flash mobs that say, show up at this convenience store, show up at this grocery store. Can you imagine how they could overwhelm some of these grocery stores? And then, of course, remember how CNN was in tow when the FBI was going after Roger Stone. You have to wonder if some of the media might be told, you might want to be at this grocery store on this day at this time, and boom, flash mob, and they get it all in video. And now you got the video footage they all need in great quality, not to mention, of course, all the people with their cell phones recording. But I don't know, maybe it'll get settled between now and Saturday, but I'm concerned if it doesn't, that this is being all done deliberately. It's a manufactured chaos.
Yes, it is. Brannon, since Bush the son, everything we have faced has been a coordinated chaos. This isn't a new thing.
No.
Sometimes less, sometimes more. And again, my concern is Trump is way too distracted with Middle East, which I like to repeat as a Middle Eastern, as an Iranian that is playing a huge role on one side of this chaos. It is none of our business what is happening in Middle East today.
And let me just mention
Israel
Middle East
has
real
it
quick.
on their control.
Let me mention Israel. Hamas is reportedly carrying a hostage's body from a tunnel, greeted by cheering crowds of Gazans. Yeah, we also have video footage of them digging up, if I can find it real quick in my list of
You
things
mean
here.
that the fake hostages, the bodies they're returning?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, Logan, you still have that? Digging up body parts to return. And here we go. The body Hamas returned from Gaza last night is not one of the 13 deceased hostages it committed to return. According to officials, the remains belong to an Israeli who was kidnapped to Gaza and already buried in Israel. So
yes.
The shooting is starting. They're bombing. Israel's back at bombing in Gaza. Netanyahu has clearly now said that, I'm in charge of Israel. I think I have a screenshot of that one or a tweet of that one where he's saying, I'm not taking, here we go. Netanyahu overrides Trump and says U.S. can't stop Israel from annexing the West Bank. Quote, it doesn't matter. We are an independent country, end quote. So the peace deal you and I said would not stand. It would fall apart. It's fallen apart. You can't negotiate with terrorists. These are disgusting people. They should finish the job and worry about their own security. But now they better be worrying about the West Bank, which I think is rich with terrorists and tunnels and weapons and is ripe for an October 7th style attack in what is called derogatorily the West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria. Closing comment.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Again, I know people think I like to pick on Trump for no reason, but look at the reason. Trump and his diluted peace deal just bought 3 full weeks of regrouping for Hamas. He needs to be put in his place and reminded that, sir, you are the president of United States of America, the very country that is falling apart. The inflation is skyrocketing. Digital currency is coming in faster than we were expecting under Kamala. And I don't see enough illegals picked up and deported.
And they're
so
bringing
please
in
come
more,
back to.
And they're bringing in more people on the H-1B visas to take our jobs.
Exactly. And the jobs are, what happened? Unemployment. I hear Target is firing this many people. Amazon is firing that many people. President Trump was supposedly, I believe, you're elected by people of America for people of America. Get back home, sit down, stop enjoying the praise of Middle Easterns, come back and fix this country. Pay attention to how they're setting you up. A 5-year-old can see it.
It's so true. Live up to freedom.substack.com. Live up to freedom.substack.com. And she mentioned that she was continuing, even though she's not all that well in body. She has a neck issue. And so pray for Annie for fast recovery. Nothing as bad as back and neck pain, that's for sure. But she's continuing to do her work. And a brand new article on the Islamization of Georgia politics has officially begun. Not to mention, how many candidates do they have running? About 700 across the country, the Islamists?
For midterm?
Or local, state, federal, all of it?
Local, state, federal, as of right now, based on my research, I have confirmed 220.
220. Okay. All right.
But again, a lot of names have not been dropped. Now, remember, when you hear 600, a lot of them are rerunning. Okay. So I'm just tracking new runners. Like 8 out of 11 in Georgia are new first-time runners. One of them is a 21-year-old kid.
But 600 in total, huh?
No, wait. 220 is new runners. Based on my confirmation, we have 261 sitting. That puts us at close to 500.
Okay, about 500 then. Okay.
About 500, yes.
All right, visit her website, folks, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. You can check out her studio, lutfstudio.com, to get your Christmas gifts, lutfstudio.com. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Brannon. Be safe.
You too, my friend. We'll be right back after this break.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
We got big news, folks. Big news. Glutathione 3 times stronger. Now, why should you care? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you don't want Alzheimer's or dementia. Look at this. Alzheimer's.gov. Okay, there was a study that started in February of 2022. It's ending in December of 2026. Glutathione for Alzheimer's disease. Research suggests that low levels of glutathione, that's a protective substance made in the body, may be linked to Alzheimer's disease. Well, you guys hear me say it all the time. I don't want Alzheimer's, I don't want dementia, and I bet you don't either, right? And apparently, low levels of glutathione are related to the increase in Alzheimer's. Now, we got big news for you, because you know that I swish with the new me, right? I talk about it all the time. What if I told you that coming November 1st, you automatically, if you're already on a subscription, you don't have to do a thing. You don't have to do a thing. Automatically, coming November 1st, what you get is going to be 3 times stronger. Joining me now to discuss this big announcement is Dr. Lana. Dr. Lana, welcome back. This is big news. Why the change? How did all this come about?
It is. Well, you know, the scientists, I mean, they're lovely. He's a lovely Christian man. And I will tell you that they're constantly researching. And when they've seen around the world what the original glutathione swish was doing for people from head to toe, they continued research and realized that if they made just a slight shift in the formulation, and it's still safe as ever, you know, for your family, but if they just made a shift in the formulation that it was now 3 times stronger. And so you're still taking 2 white capsules or 2 teaspoons 2-3 times a day, swishing, 2, 3, 4 minutes. You could spit it out or swallow it. And they are finding that, especially cognitively, we talked about, we're not making any health claims, but the studies are there. Alzheimer's, dementia, ADD, Asperger's, autism, the neurological issues, Parkinson's, are related to a couple of things, my friends. They're related to low glutathione, and this is the fastest, most affordable, most effective delivery system of glutathione in the world. Better and faster and more affordable than an IV. You can use it alongside your IVs. The other thing the brain needs is omega-3 fatty acids and zinc and selenium, and that is the gaditana. So you're getting the nutrients in your brain and in all your cells with the phytoplankton, and you're getting glutathione that's now 3 times stronger in your cells in about 70 to 90 seconds. So it's directly related to cognitive health, and we all want to keep our minds. We're supposed to age without pain, without symptoms, with full cognitive and physical function. We're supposed to die in our sleep and meet Jesus like at 105 or 10 or 20, in all seriousness.
So let's talk about this spike in Alzheimer's and dementia. What do you think is at the root cause? Not just the decrease in glutathione in our system, but what else do you relate this to?
Well, I was studying for the years with Dr. Ustin at the Cleveland Clinic. I will share, and he conducted a 20-year plus gold standard study as well, going back to diet and lifestyle issues, really. And it's no one's fault. I tell everybody, that gets the programs and our programs that we have, like the gut and the brain, there's an absolute connection to your gut and brain health. If the gut is on fire, the brain's on fire. If the brain's on fire, the gut's on fire. So that study showed that it is diet, it is food. And I don't know if you realize, and there's a lot of medical doctors now coming forward from really prestigious institutions saying, listen, it's the food that's killing us. Food is the number one killer in America. It is the number one killer is food, because food causes heart disease. And I'm getting to the Alzheimer's piece because if you think about it, my friends, your blood vessels run from your head to your toes. And when they get clogged, the oxygenated blood can't get to your brain. It can't get through the heart and lung machine. It can't get to your arms and your legs. And people get neuropathy and pain, and they get memory loss, and they have personality changes. And it's not because of old age. Everyone says, oh gosh, old age is just terrible. No, old age is not supposed to be terrible. We've got issues in our diet, in our food, and we're helping people with those programs, especially the gut and the brain. And it's diet related. Food's the number one killer in our country because it's heart disease is the number one killer.
Diet related.
You eat your way into heart disease, you can eat your way out. And there's a lot of things to do, but that's what I type up in the programs. So yes, diet related. And the other thing is, and people think, oh my gosh, exercise. Oh gosh, I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to feel like I'm working out like I'm going to the Olympics. You don't have to do that. Some really simple things are walking with 1 pound weights. I trained with one of the foremost experts, trainers. He trained Olympic athletes, NFL athletes. He trained Mr. and Mrs. Olympia. He trained just amazing people. We always said, look, pick up 1 pound weights and go walking with 1 pound weights. Go up and down your stairs safely. If you have stairs in your home, he would say, go up and down your stairs, 10 times. Heat the body up. move. Walk. Now they have those, sometimes the treadmills that you can just have. There's a lot of people working in their offices and home offices where they have their computer, and then during the day they're doing work and they're walking, they're moving their body. So get that blood moving, heat your body up. You don't have to do anything crazy. Diet related, whole food. The more junk you can get out of your diet, the better. A lot of people are dehydrated, Brannon, too. So the brain and the body run on good, still filtered water. So check yourself. If you think like, oh, I feel foggy or I'm not remembering, 74% of adults are dehydrated in America every single day.
74%?
People are walking around dehydrated and they don't realize. They think they're hungry. They think they have cravings. They're getting a headache and they're reaching for the Tylenol and the Excedrin and the Aleve and all the NSAIDs and the acetaminophen. And they really need to have a couple good 8-10 ounce glasses of water and swish with the glutathione. And you can swish with this every hour on the hour if you're feeling under the weather, or if you've got something coming on in your throat or a headache. You can swish every hour on the hour for 1 or 2 days. And you can take like 4 scoops of the Gatatana that same day, anytime throughout the day. So there's just a very, very simple protocol that your family can use is the glutathione every hour, and then take 4 scoops of Gatatana every day, like for 2, 3, 4 days that you're not feeling well. Completely safe, and your brain needs those nutrients in the Gatatana, and your brain and your liver and your kidneys desperately need glutathione. And now this is 3 times stronger.
And you can get it at swishforlife.com. Now, folks,
yes, swishforlife.com.
This is according to SciTech Daily, Science Technology Daily. A massive new study found 4 million plus people just linked cannabis use to a nearly 4-fold increase in diabetes risk. 4 times. They had 4 million people in the study, 4 million plus. There's a 4-fold increase, or in other words, 4 times more likely to get diabetes if you're using cannabis. Are you shocked by that?
Not really, because I'll tell you, and I think everyone in your lovely audience is getting to know me over time. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't talk about it. I stick in my lane and in my highway, in my area of expertise in diet and lifestyle medicine, diet and lifestyle intervention. I never brought that in my practice because it is such a specific area of education. And yes, people in pain have used cannabis. People in pain have used, THC free or some with THC. They've used it for pain relief. Some cancer patients have used it. But you need to use it in a medical arena under specialists that use it in their practice all the time. And so I am not shocked by that.
They also found that even after factoring in diet, drinking, and other health issues, weed users were more likely to develop diabetes. Researchers say the combo of poor eating habits, which is what you're talking about, insulin resistance, and regular cannabis use could be a metabolic disaster. They wrote that as weed becomes more legal and casual use increases, doctors are warning you might be trading chill vibes for chronic illness. There you go.
Absolutely. And it goes back to my 5-step science-based system that I have for overall health. The acronym is ACODE, and the A is aqua, water, and the C in that 5-step system that I developed over the years is cellular function. So when you're taking things, medications, and you're altering the way the cells communicate, you're eating a lot of fat, a lot of junk, what you're doing is you're clogging up that double layer. It's called phospholipid bilayer. So you're clogging up the doors and windows and receptor sites in your cells. So your cells are having a very hard time pulling in glucose for energy. Your cells are having a hard time getting rid of toxins that are inside the cells, and your cells are having a hard time getting hormones in and out of your cells effectively and efficiently. So these alter the shape of your cell membranes and clog the receptor sites. And then you end up getting type 2 diabetes. You can't lose weight. You've got a foggy brain, and you're promoting chronic degenerative diseases because your cells basically are clogged and they can't function. That is the root of nearly all diseases, and that promotes oxidative stress, and that's too many free radicals, and that's what we all die of.
And finally, here is Monash University, their science alert. 38% more diabetes. You go zero sugar. Zero sugar equals 38% more diabetes. 1 can of Cola Zero a day. Are you listening, Logan? Because Logan and his girlfriend introduced me to Coke Zero. They're like, oh, you're off sugar? You ought to try Coke Zero. So I did for about a month, and then I found out it has aspartame in it. I guess I should have read the label. So I'm now off that, and now I'm just drinking, I don't know if you're in approved, but I mean the alternative. Now I'm just drinking, what is that, Logan? Like seltzer water? What's that water called? LaCroix? Like seltzer water? That's not the one I'm drinking. What's the one I drink? The one in the green bottle with the light blue label.
Non-carbonated.
Yeah.
You want it still. You can have a little flavor in it. It doesn't count as your hydration. I don't care about
the flavor. Oh, what is it called?
Hint.
San Pellegrino? That's what I think.
As long as there's no bubbles in it, because the bubbles are tough on your bones. The bubbles are tough on your gut. Don't have carbonation.
Does that got carbonation in it, Logan? Don't tell me it does. Carbonated water, so I can't drink that either?
No, you can get Hint in a can, not a can. Hint is in the bottles. I don't know if you've seen that. And it doesn't count as your hydration during the day because you need clean, still filtered water.
Right.
But Hint is still water, and it has a hint of flavoring like watermelon, berry, orange, pineapple. Any grocery store.
Okay.
I'm sure your lovely wife or your son and his girlfriend, when they're running their errands, they can pick you up.
All right, we'll try it, but it better not have a really, really sweet taste. I hate
it's
that
very
stevia.
mild.
I don't like a stevia. It's too sweet.
No, stevia is
you know what it is,
sweet.
Logan? You like it or not?
Hint.
All right,
It's
pretty
still-
good. All right,
It's still water, but again, it doesn't count as your hydration because it's flavored.
So
it's recreational fun water.
1 can of Cola Zero a day or other sugar-free diet drinks, put diet in quotes, equals a 38% higher risk of type 2 diabetes, according to a massive 14-year study. That's worse than the 23% bump from regular sugary soda. And no, it's not just about weight. Researchers adjusted for everything from diet to exercise. Artificial sweeteners may be torching your gut microbiome and wrecking your metabolism. Healthy swap? Try water. Well, that's what Dr. Lon has been saying to us. Didn't need a 14-year study for that. You just needed to watch Brannon Howse Live and Dr. Alana, right?
We're a team, right? In all seriousness, water is always your go-to. Our cells cannot function without plain, still filtered water, and stay away from the carbonation. And like I said, if you want to treat like a flavored water, Hint is out there at the grocery stores. I mean, I don't have anything to do with them, but if you want something that's like, oh, it's a little bit better, you can also, I have a lot of my patients are busy professionals like you, Brannon, and, over the years, they make a big pot of iced tea, even unsweetened iced tea with, some lemon in it or no lemon. I mean, it gives them that little kick of caffeine.
That's what Dr. Mishima says. She says, get some healthy green tea, make a picture of that, a little bit of honey maybe, and that's what you should be drinking.
Yeah. You can drink cold green tea, hot green tea, cold iced tea, hot iced tea. And coffee is not the end of the world. Coffee is not horrible for you. I mean, unless for some reason your doctor has you off.
Well, I do drink.
Coffee is not the devil.
I do drink quite a bit.
Coffee is, a couple of cups a day, as long as everybody's healthy. I mean, there is no problem with good coffee. And I tell people, I'm like, get organic coffee and grind it at home if you can, because there's a lot of chemicals and weed killers and toxins on the coffee beans. So go get organic coffee beans at the store. I like Blue Bottle. I think I told you and Melissa that I like Blue Bottle brand organic coffee beans. You can get them at Target and Walmart and any store. You grind them at home. You get a $20 coffee grinder, like from Target or Super Kmart or a big grocery store. And it's called Blue Bottle organic coffee beans. And I love them. It's smooth, delicious coffee. And it comes in like 3 different flavors, like light, medium, and bold.
Excellent. All right, guys. Swishforlife.com. Everything's shipping out on November 1st now is 3 times more glutathione. That's great.
Absolutely. Here's your partners right here. Get your glutathione and your phytoplankton. And
that's
you have to be your own advocate.
That's exactly right. Dr. Lana, as always, thank you.
It's always a pleasure. God bless.
All right, guys, what a broadcast tonight. We packed it full, didn't we? Roll the music. Let's call it a night. Hey, remember, we need to have a huge November and December for end of the year giving. Please consider going now, worldviewfoundation.com, and making a contribution of any size, worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. Folks, we need more regular monthly contributors. That'll take a little strain off of us because we can see how much is coming in each month. We can see how many of you have registered to give automatically. So we need to get that number up a little bit. Folks, please consider signing up for that. Hey, thanks for watching. May God save America. Take care.
You are watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon Howse.